Hello, everyone. Omni-Sensei here with What If I Was Reborn in Game of Thrones with Super Soldier Serum Finale. If you enjoy this kind of content, please smash the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Don't forget to check out the original story linked in the description. I hope you enjoy listening to it. A trial by the Seven. A fitting way to end their entire game if you ask me. And here I was about to crash all the hope the Lannisters had left for survival. Here I stand with my 7 champions. I entered the arena with a smirk alongside my 7 disposable champions who surrendered as soon as they entered. As for me, I was looking at the 7 I had to kill, Joffrey in particular. For some reason the little shit was smiling. "I will finally show these idiots how a real king fights," Joffrey boasted. "If you don't shut up, I'll kill you myself and save him the nuisance of killing you," Tywin growled. "Let's not be hasty," Jaime sighed. "This time, I will crush you," Gregor growled at me. "Wow, that hit you took a month ago left you with some severe brain damage," I smirked, infuriating the man even more. "Is everyone ready?" Ned Stark inquired from outside the arena. "Yes," I nodded, looking at Cersei who almost had pleading eyes, begging me to keep my word of fighting alone. Desperation in her eyes mixed with pride. It was an odd combination, fortunately for her. I was a man of my word. They would all die by my blade, and my blade only. Especially Joffrey. Ned's voice boomed out into the audience a final time. "Let the trial begin." Ned had barely finished his sentence when Meryn Trant instantly charged at me. Sword ready? I just smiled at my first victim, leaping forward while vertically spinning in the air, while releasing a flowing attack in a circular motion, cutting his head in a single clean cut. "1. I smiled at the remaining 6. "How about we don't rush?" Jaime sighed. "Either way you will die, so it's your choice, one by one, or all at once." I winked at them. Jaime growls in anger as he dashed towards me, unleashing a very fast attack from below the waist with his blade, prompting me to flip backwards to avoid the sword, landing on my feet. I smiled. "You didn't use that flashy move against Oberyn, right?" I knew he didn't, otherwise Oberyn would be dead. That attack was pretty lethal. Perhaps he just decided to try it. "I just decided to try that," Jaime answered as he proceeded to walk up to me, while the others including the Mountain circled me, and I couldn't help but wonder with excitement where this was going. "So, what's the plan? Bore me to death? 'Cause I'll be honest, is working," I smiled, making Jaime tighten the grip on his blade. "You'll see," Jaime smiled. Taking a step to the side, I dodged an attack coming from behind from one of the ex-king's guards, immediately cutting the throat of the poor idiot as a counterattack, with a simple forward slash. 2 down, 5 more. I commented as Ares fell to the ground, choking on his own blood. Jaime, a bit surprised that I countered an attack that by all means should have been on my blind spot, frowned as he rushed with his blade trying to cleave my heart. But I deflected the attack while dodging another blind spot attack with a single kick and sidestep, causing Jaime to stumble back. "So is your strategy trying to exploit my blind spots? If so, it won't work." I smirked at him. Jaime growled as he dashed forward, unleashing a flurry of attacks with his blade, being assisted by his father and the Mountain, all 3 attacking at the same time. With a smile, I dropped my blade to give the audience a show and proceeded to redirect all the blows Jaime was trying to give me by tapping the blunt parts of the blade. All this while I simply dodged the attacks from Tywin and Gregor, moving my body swiftly around the area in order to avoid them in a very laid-back, but extremely effective style. "This is fun," I chuckled, much to their annoyance. "This is ridiculous," Tywin commented. "And we are barely starting. So don't put your socks back on, because I'm about to knock them off," I smirked. "Damn it," Gregor growled. "Is the big dog mad? You can always play with me one-on-one if you think you can win." I smiled as I invited the Mountain to duel me one-on-one. But while big and stupid, he learned our last encounter. I was vastly superior to him, the reason why he wasn't mindlessly charging at me. "No matter how strong you are bound to have a weakness," Jaime stated. "I do. Unfortunately, my weakness is my greatest strength. And they aren't fighting," I smiled, as I kicked my blade that was on the floor with all my strength towards Jamie, who dodged just in time. No weapon, and you missed. Sad, Jamie smirked. I didn't miss. I smirked at him, making the clueless man turn around seeing one of his teammates nailed to the arena wall with my blade on its chest. Boris Blunt, right? You still have no weapon, Jamie said, as if that gave them any advantage. 3 down. 4 to go. I chuckled. Jamie rushed at me, trying to capitalize the fact that I had no weapon, but like before I just redirected his blows with light taps on the blunt part of his blade while dodging the attacks from others, with a very laid-back and playful attitude. After a few seconds of it, I grew bored by only defending and decided to spice things up, delivering a spinning hook kick on Jamie, a quick jab at Tywin, and a spinning kick on the mountain, knocking every single one of them to the ground. This can't be happening. Gregor growled in anger while still on the ground, to which I responded with a smile. Oh, but it is, I taunted with a fake yawn. Damn you. Gregor growled in rage, rushing at me, forgetting how hopelessly outmatched he was. Gregor, no. Tywin and Jamie shouted to no avail, trying to rush and aid their mad ally. However, before they can even stand up, I rushed at the mad dog, using my hand as a temporary lance piercing the mountain's mouth from point A to point B, plunging my hand into his neck, proceeding to rip his head off with the spine still attached to it. Fatality. Ronard wins. Flawless victory, I commented, throwing the head towards Jamie. Holy shit. Oberyn shouted from the audience. Great. I avoided being hanged for this. Best plan ever, Tywin lamented. 4 down, 3 to go, I chuckled. Kill him. Joffrey demanded, fear on his eyes. All the confidence he had a few minutes ago, gone. Jamie growled in desperation, rushing at me once more with his father, his eyes failing to show the confidence he had a few moments ago, knowing full well there wasn't any chance he would win, now that I showed all of you the meaning of despair. It's time to end this, I smiled, ducking under his attack and going behind his father. I then grabbed Tywin's neck and broke it, having turned his head upside down. Tywin muttered as he fell to the ground dead. 5 down. 2 to go, I smiled, turning to see Cersei, crying in anger and fear. 1-on-1. Well? Jamie started, but I cut him off by dashing towards him with great speed, giving him no time to react, kicking the idiot a few meters into the air. As Jamie plummets back down, leaving a trail of blood, I put myself into position, punching him in the face, bashing his skull into a bloody mess, while sending his now limp, dead body crashing into the wall. 6. Now on to the 7, I smiled, turning to see the former king peeing himself in fear. If your strategy is to pee and shit yourself so that I don't touch you, let me tell you, it's working, I added in disgust. Mom. Mother, please, Joffrey screamed in terror, trying to escape the arena. Mother, please, save me. Didn't I tell you, Cersei, that this would happen? I smiled as I slowly walked up to Joffrey. Let me go. Cersei screamed when the guards stopped her from aiding her son. Now, open your eyes wide and enjoy the scene. It's one of a kind, I told Cersei, before turning to give my undivided attention to Joffrey. Mother, please, Joffrey cried, shaking in pure fear as I loomed above him. Be a man for once, I growled, breaking his leg with a quick low kick. Argahar, Joffrey screamed, clutching in pain. The human body has 206 bones. That's just one. Let's break the other 205, I smiled, walking towards Joffrey, who was too busy clutching in pain to fully comprehend his situation. It took me 2 hours to kill Joffrey, like I had promised Cersei. He suffered every second of it. The worst part was that the idiot could have surrendered if only he knew the rules gave him that privilege. His death would have been a lot less painful than the one I gave him. Needless to say, it felt good to see how Cersei and her entire persona shattered, leaving an empty shell of what she once was. She was now broken, a body without purpose, just waiting to go. Remind me to never get on your bad side, Oberyn said as he entered the changing rooms. Sure, I nodded. That was terrifying, Jon added. It was what they deserved, Daenerys stated, giving me a kiss. This is nice, I smiled, while caressing my wife's hair. Moments like this were the things that I longed for so much. It was intoxicating. It is, Daenerys smiled, caressing my bare chest with a single finger. Well, now that we have the world, all we have to do is enjoy it. Well, I had first to take care of the others, but for now, I think I deserved a bit of rest. I earned this. Sounds wonderful, Daenerys whispered to my ear as she got on top of me. We still have Vale to deal with, but that can wait. Oh yeah, Vale. I had forgotten about them. They were kind of forgettable. I can put them down in an hour. 3 dragons are more than enough to force them down. I never doubted that. Daenerys smiled, giving me a passionate kiss that lasted for a few seconds. But after that, all we will have to do is rule. I smiled at her as I sighed. Well, not exactly. What do you mean? Daenerys inquired. Well, there is a problem beyond the wall. That is basically our last problem. I chuckled drily. The others? Daenerys sighed. Yep, I nodded, surprised she connected the dots so fast. I didn't even mention them before. I think. Do you think we can win? Daenerys asked. Well, I have to. I answered, with uncertainty. You are not sure, Daenerys stated in shock. I have never seen you unsure of anything. Was I so easy to read for her? I'm not sure. An ever-growing army that doesn't get tired and doesn't feel fear is terrifying. I admitted. Every army has a weakness, Daenerys commented. Yes, their weakness is the one that sired them, the first walker, I nodded. If he dies, they all die. Daenerys added. But I'm pretty sure the undead king will have his army by his side at all times, meaning a duel with him is beyond my possibilities, I sighed. On a duel I was sure my skills would overcome any wall, but the reality was not always on my side. Then we have to find a way to give you that opportunity, Daenerys said with determination. You won't go near those things. Not in a million years, I stated, leaving no room for discussion. There was no way in hell I would allow her and the babies to be near this coming war. At all. I won't let you fight alone again, Daenerys shot back in defiance. I love you, but if I have to tie you down and send you to the other side of the world to avoid you doing something magnanimously stupid, I will do it. I didn't want her to be near all of this. If those things got her, I would lose all the will to fight. I needed my light. My light's to be alive. You have to stop putting everything on your shoulders. It's not healthy. Daenerys was angry, but not at me, at my actions. I have to. I snapped. I have to do it. Because if I don't do it, no one will. Everyone depends on me. You, the 7 kingdoms, humanity depends on me. I didn't ask for any of this shit, but I have to deal with it. I can't afford to lose you. I can't afford to lose the kids. I can't afford to. By that point I was crying. God, how pathetic I was. You are not alone, and you will never be. Daenerys soothed, caressing my hair. I'm sorry, I muttered. Don't be. I'm surprised you bottle so much up, Daenerys soothed. If me being so close to the danger affects you, then I'll help some other way. But promise me you will rely on others too. You once taught me what a queen has to be, and it seems I need to teach you what a king needs to be. A king is not a man that carries the kingdom on his back alone. A king is a man that pushes the kingdom with the help of others. A king protects, and is also protected by others. Stop hurting yourself, and let others carry some of that weight. Is not only your fight. Is theirs too. I hated how right she was. But what she didn't know was that the guilt of my existence was eating me. While it was true I had changed a lot of the history I once knew for the better, it was also true I changed the main antagonist, and that could very well mean I damned the world and that nothing I did actually mattered. I hated this, feeling weak, feeling angry, feeling useless. All of this haunted me. I know. Anything I can do without being on the front line? Daenerys inquired with a soft smile. You can help me build and mine all the materials we need, I suggested. After all, I really needed someone mining the dragon glass and keeping an eye on the Red Witch. Then consider that job done, Daenerys smiled playfully. See one thing off your back. Do you feel better? If only. It's not the tasks that consume me, but the everlasting guilt that I changed the monster and I have to deal with it. Arya barely managed to kill the bastard on a streak of luck. Right now. I knew no one but me had a chance, silly, I chuckled. Humanity is quite the conundrum. No matter how strong you are, at one point, you will feel weak. And today was my point. Well, someone has to keep you sane. And here I thought my family was supposed to have the crazy part. Daenerys joked about her father. I did not expect that. Ha! Oh God, I feel bad for laughing. I laughed. Don't be. Daenerys chuckled. Lisa Aaron POV. Peter was scheduled to be executed a month from now. I couldn't allow this. No. I was not going to let that stupid bear to hurt my Peter. I was going to kill him if he did. Call the banners. I shouted, and a few seconds passed, and nothing happened. Why aren't you calling the banners? Because it would be suicidal to do so. The commander of Vale's army growled. Ronald Mormont has more than enough power to crush us like ants if we so much as look at him the wrong way. Now imagine what he would do if we declared war. He would crush us without second thought and probably have a picnic, all on the same day. Are you questioning my orders? I shouted. How dare he question my orders? I didn't sleep with that decrepit old man just so these idiots don't obey me. I'm questioning your objectivity. The commander shot back. Arrest him. I spat, but no one moved. We are with him on this one. The council thinks you are no longer capable of ruling the Vale in Robert Aaron stead, one of the council members said. What? I gasped. You are hereby taken out of the role, for the sake of Vale and what we stand for. They couldn't, right? And because Lord Aaron is too young to rule, the commander of Vale's army will lead the house until he is of age, the council member said, and everyone agreed. I won't allow this. I hissed. That's the point. You can't allow or disallow anything anymore. After a week of well-deserved rest, I woke up to a letter from Vale. Apparently they had a change of heart overnight because the Lord of Vale and the other high nobles of Vale were coming to bend the knee. Though this made me wonder if I should tell them that Robert Aaron is a bastard, or just let things be. Quite the political conundrum. The Lords of Vale are coming in a few days, Daenerys commented. Wise decision on their part. She smiled proudly. They have no other choice, I chuckled. It was that or getting erased. There was no middle ground. At least they are wise enough to pick the only viable option after the Lannisters. Well, I expected stupidity from everyone. Daenerys smirked as she walked towards the bathroom, swaying her hips in an inviting manner. Will you be wise and take the right choice now, my king? No one can blame me. I'm but a man. In love with his wife, I'll be right there. Three-eyed raven POV. Ronard had won the battle. He was now the king of the Seven Kingdoms, and now his only threat, his only challenge ahead was the long night. During my forced seclusion, I have learned that the Night King was slowly but surely increasing his army with creatures that were long dead, looking for any corpse that may help him. Giants, children of the forest, skin changers. His army was terrifying to say the least, because he wasn't resurrecting only the ones that he had killed, but also others that had died long before he even existed. But these feats were quite taxing on him, for it was easier to resurrect a fresh victim. But the most troublesome part of his behavior was that he knew he was mortal. He knew that even with all his power, he could still die. And with that on his head, he never moved alone. Always with group of guards that was nearly invincible. Ronard was going to have a hard time approaching him, or winning for the matter. An enemy that knows his weakness and acts on it is more dangerous than 1,000 swords. He's resurrecting my kin. He's slaving my... Leaf said, shaking with tears on her eyes. I shouldn't be able to do that. I looked at her in confusion. Didn't you give him the ability to control the arts of necromancy? I did. But still, the sole purpose he was created for was to protect our forest from the humans. And while he stopped following that command a long time ago, he had many seals stopping him from resurrecting my kind. Leaf explained, shaking. I know he has no qualms about killing my people, but he should have about using his magic on us. Perhaps whatever changed him also changed the limiters he once had. We know he is different. I sighed. I hate how the song changed. Leaf cried. I hate it. If only you hadn't created the monster to begin with, the song wouldn't even exist. Everything will be all right. Let's hope the champion is preparing himself for what is to come. Night King POV. Time was the enemy of everyone. Everything and everyone was weak against the might of time. For me, it was my greatest weapon. Little by little, I was collecting pawns for my mission, and soon I would destroy the living, completing my singular purpose for existence. The only obstacle in my way, Ronald Mormont, a man with more luck than brains, an easy prey to catch, for he would eventually come for me, and I would be more than ready to face him. But for now, I would wait, growing in power every second. For with every corpse I had under my control came knowledge, their past experiences becoming mine. Ronald is a powerful warrior, but even him can't match the experience of thousands, the power of a legion at my hands. Benjen Stark POV. We have to warn everyone. I growled. What you saw doesn't exist, Alistair scoffed. All you want is getting out of the wall, like the bastard did. That won't happen again, Stark. You are endangering the life of everyone. Just because you hate my nephew? Was he so stupid that he would put everything and everyone on the line for his own pride? The bastard has nothing to do with this. He has no power over my decision, and he will pay for what he did. Once the Lannister gets him, his head will roll for breaking his oaths. Alistair laughed. I heard he is a lord now. Perhaps it is you who should fear. I smirked at him. Out of my sight. Alistair barked at me. With pleasure, I smiled, taking my leave. Olenna Tyrell POV. Today was the day I finally got to talk with the king, who seemed to be avoiding my house at every turn, as if we were plagues or a bad disease. Lady Olenna. And there he is, the king of 7 kingdoms, accompanied by his wife, the queen. We have a talk that is long overdue. We do. I smiled, taking a seat. I almost thought you were avoiding us. Let's see your reaction, young bear. That's because I have been avoiding your house. Ronald smirked. Why? I inquired. I hadn't really expected that kind of response. Well, for one, your house has been jumping from house to house, all in the efforts of making your granddaughter a queen, and only allied with us. When, well, your demise was certain, Daenerys answered. Well, that's a part of it. Ronald chuckled, but the real reason was that I wanted to rest and process everything. They still didn't trust us. Smart, I understand. I would be wary of us too. Frankly, half of those alliances were a waste of money and time. At least during the first one, Marjorie got to feel like a queen for a brief time. But well, we all know how good that ended. Not like that relationship had any future. The poor dear didn't like the does, so that was a problem. I sighed. Ha ha, Ronald laughed. I like you. It is refreshing to speak with someone that doesn't lie. At least not that much. A rare trait in the South, Daenerys nodded. I'm too old for some games, and why even try? If I know I can't win, I shrugged. I know that you don't trust me, and I can deal with that. Now my son might react unfavorably to that, but let me deal with the idiot myself. I hardly think the opinion of your son or his feelings has any weight on us, Daenerys smiled. On that we can both agree. I lamented, for there wasn't a bigger curse than to have a stupid son. Well, maybe having Joffrey as part of my family. Having an idiot for a son is a curse you two will never experience, thanks. Ronald said. Your little girl, for what little I have seen, is astounding. Nourish her mind. This world need more women thinking, and less opening their legs. I chuckled, though. I did both. That is not an image I wanted to picture, Ronald muttered. Caw. I can't unsee it. Kill me. Kill me. Caw. No amount of corn will be able to heal this wound. I was both smart and beautiful, but beauty fades, I sighed. Con on me. I'll be sexy forever. Well, not that this little chat hasn't been wonderful, but let's talk about the terms of our alliance, shall we? Daenerys said. Yes, let's. Peter's execution was incredibly dull. Besides him screaming and begging for mercy, it was just a boring ordeal altogether. And while I did make an enemy out of this, it was one I could afford to ignore. In the end, I had decided to not tell the Lords of Vale that their lord was a bastard. The kid had no faults besides being stupid, and with that said, everything was finally done. I had no opposition. I was the king of this damned-up world. Now it was time to focus on my last enemy, the Night King, aka the Great Value Lich King, and I already had a few people working on that, with Daenerys supervising them. For one, I ordered Jon to oversee the mining of all the dragon glass on his newly acquired lands. And going back to that, Daenerys was quite happy that Targaryen name would not die. She even found herself liking Lord Stark for saving her nephew. But going back to the plans for war, Jon was mining all the dragon glass possible, ensuring we had more than enough for the upcoming war. Ned Stark was using some of the dragon glass to reinforce the buildings in the north and put on some traps. After all, they were the first line of defense. Melisandre was creating magically reinforced weapons that were almost as effective as Valyrian steel. With her technique, all steel could be lethal to the others. Daenerys, on the other hand, was overseeing the Dragon Forge, making weapons with the dragon fire of Crow and Regal, and of course checking in all the other projects. As for me, well, I was focusing on learning how to use my fire properly. I needed to have every power in my arsenal ready to kill. That's it. Let the emotions flow through your fire, Neltharion instructed happily. On it, teacher, I chuckled, trying once again, making a bit more of fire with each punch. I'm getting there, but not fast enough, I sighed. You are improving faster than me. Don't worry, Neltharion hissed happily. Besides, you have an awesomely handsome and capable teacher, he joked. I suppose, I chuckled, continuing with my training. At least I was preparing for the Eye Sucker, though I had yet to come with a plan to fight him. One-on-one, that is. Jon Targaryen POV, I had an aunt. It was certainly a good feeling. She was so harsh with everyone, but when it came Ronard, the royal kids, and me, she was so nice. It was a weird feeling. I never had someone treating me, and I mean specifically me, like that. Was this how it felt to be part of a family and not a stranger living among others? Well, whatever it was. It was a good thing. Lord Targaryen, one of the soldiers Ronard had put on my hands, called me. Yes. I turned to him, wondering what did he want. The dragonglass mines have some minor problems I would like to discuss before we go any deeper, the soldier stated. Anything that can threaten the lives of the workers? I asked with concern. Depends. If left unattended, it will eventually kill someone. Right now? No, the soldier answered. I see. I sighed in relief. You have my permission to proceed however you see fit. Thanks for the vote of confidence, Lord Targaryen, the man nodded excitedly. I won't fail you. Well, this is something I will never get used to. People looking for my approval, and the whole Lord title. All of this is so different to what I was used to. But Ronard believes in me, believes that I will rule this house with honor, that I will never betray him, and that's something I plan to keep. Lord Targaryen, one of the downsides of being a lord, everyone wants to talk to you. Yes. I turned to look at the new soldier coming up. Lord Robb is here to see you, the man announced. He arrived a few minutes ago. Robb was here. Guide him in. Don't make my brother wait. They didn't, Robb answered before the man even had the chance to do so. But in their defense, I am your brother, Robb smirked. Privileges only a few can have, I smirked back. How is the lordly life treating you? Robb asked as he hugged me. It's not bad, but is full of work, so much paperwork. I groaned. I don't know how Ronard does it. I have never seen him doing any paperwork. Well, if ever find out how he avoids the paperwork, be a good brother and let me know, Robb laughed. I will, I chuckled. Arya, Bran, and Rickon miss you. Even Sansa, though you know her, Robb said with a smile. I miss them too. Even Sansa, I smirked. Well, it seems Ronard really left a mark on you, Robb chuckled. Hard not to. That man is impressive. A true warrior, a true father, a true friend. Ronard was the right man for that throne, and after the last two kings, he would be seen as a god. He is, Robb nodded, and then with a playful smile asked, any future Lady Targaryen on the sights? I almost choked. No. I heard Lady Marjorie is quite the beauty, Robb smirked. I don't think getting a wife is the right choice right now. Besides, there was no way I would marry Lady Marjorie. She was a viper waiting for an idiot to fall. Besides, all I wanted was someone to be my partner, someone to love me so that I could love her. I didn't care for her status or anything. Marjorie would only use me to rise the ranks. I suppose, Robb nodded solemnly. With those things coming, it would be best if we didn't leave any widows. Yes, I nodded. Ned Stark POV. Ronard had tasked me with protecting the wall. For the north was the first line of attack should the others break the wall. with John sending dragonglass and the knowledge we had about these monsters. I had a somewhat decent defense should they attack. Part of the north defense was all the wildfire Ronard had acquired on King's Landing, should they cross the wall. I would blow up the forest between the wall and the north, reason why I had evacuated the towns near the war. For if the time came where I needed to blow up those monsters, I didn't want any reason to hesitate. You were leaving? Caitlin asked. Yes, I nodded. Can I come? Kat inquired. No, the king was clear. You are to never leave Winterfell, I answered. That man, Kat sighed in desperation. Then I will wait for you. I know it's hard, but if you want the king to be more forgiving the next time he sees you, you need to obey his word. I kissed her. Besides, the wall is a very boring place. I know. Kat nodded. I woke up with the sudden sensation of someone. Or something was watching me. But what? The hell? I muttered, struggling to keep my eyes open. I had barely fallen asleep a few hours ago, and I was a heavy sleeper. As if answering my question, a shadow moved past the window on my room to the next one, waking the hell up of me. Is everything okay? Daenerys inquired, groggily waking up as she pulled my shorts to get my attention. No. I just need to check something, I decided against telling her as I left the room, going over to where I had seen the shadow moving. The sounds of someone tapping the floor with their feet became louder and louder, as you would expect in a horror movie. But this was no movie, all right. I don't play games, so either come out and die fast, or come out and die slowly. A man has no need to use such vulgar language, for a man comes in peace. Oh great. Mr. Doe-Kill-A-Little is here. I thought we had a deal, I barked at him. A man is but a loyal servant to the god of many faces, the god of death. A man is here on its orders, the assassin shrugged, but a man is not here to hurt you or your family. I was sent here to help you. Well, that was unexpected. Why? I inquired with genuine curiosity. What is death, Ronard? The assassin answered with a question. I sighed in annoyance at not getting the answer right away. But I suppose I can humor him. Death is the end of the road, a way to see it. But it's also peace for those who deserve it, or suffering for monsters within ourselves. But that's not the answer. Not really. The assassin smiled. Death is life. One can't exist without the other. Life without death is meaningless. Death without life is nothing. Death is balance, Ronard. And it clicked me. And what the Night King wants to do will destroy that balance, right? Yes, the assassin nodded. Destruction of all life will bring nothing but chaos, and a man can't allow that. No life means no death. No life and death mean nothing, and you just had that epiphany. I inquired, wondering why the sudden change of heart. A few months ago. The assassin answered, just know the faceless men are yours to command. For the duration of this war, death is by your side, as so is life. You mean the god of light? I chuckled. Sure, let's think he is. Life is always with you, as death is always with me, two sides of the same coin. I learned to accept death as it is a long time ago. You still have yet to accept life as it is. The assassin sighed. A man needs a room, or at least a corner to sleep in. Take any room. I'll let the guards know. And don't switch your face. I won't play hide and seek with you, I ordered, ignoring his previous comment. A man will do as you command. The assassin bowed, leaving my sight. Leaving me with questions. Was this a sign this war coming up was such a wall I had to overcome, that death itself gave me a hand? One day without crazy shit. Is that too much to ask? I muttered, going back to my room. Caitlin Stark POV, Ronard had won. In the end, he had obtained the crown, and had put everyone under his feet, a monster ruling the 7 kingdoms, making the bastard a noble just to spite me. Everyone believes he did because Jon is actually a Targaryen, but that is nothing but a lie. The bastard looks exactly like Ned, much to my pain. But Ronard knew that would hurt me, that the fact a bastard had now more power than me would humiliate me beyond belief. Mother, supper is ready, Sansa announced, entering my room. Is everything all right? My daughter inquired after seeing my agitated state. No, it's not. Ronard, I started, but Sansa cut me off. Would you stop that? Is getting boring, really. First was Jon. Now Ronard. Just live your life and stop this nonsense. Sansa groaned in annoyance. He made the bastard a noble. A noble. He is no Targaryen. He did that just to hurt me. I barked at her. Sansa sighed, giving me a fierce look. You give yourself too much credit. Ronard barely acknowledges you. She then shrugged. Besides, Jon deserves that. After all we made him go through. Frankly, Mother, at this point is sad. Not only for you, but for us as a family to hear you ramble about how much you hate Ronard. So you are okay with that bastard having more power than you than us? I laughed bitterly. Perhaps you also want to sleep with the bastard and betray me once more. Well, this is a new low, even for you, Sansa sighed. And who knows, he is my cousin. By law, that's allowed. So don't tempt fate, Mother. I might marry Jon just to spite you. The nerve. I'm still your mother, Sansa, and you will respect me. I learned with the monster you hate that respect is earned. So if you want respect, work for it. Sansa shot back. Dinner is ready. Come and eat. Or stay here. At this point, I don't care, Sansa added as she walked out of the room. You won't leave until I say so, I shouted. You are not the lord of the house. Bran is until Dad comes back. By all means, go tell him how bad I have been. But until then, I'll see you at the dinner table, Sansa smiled, walking off into the distance. My little obedient little princess turned against me. How can I not hate Ronard? When this is the result of the time she spent with him, I just couldn't. He destroyed my family. Arya Stark POV. I looked at Sansa with a newfound admiration as I chuckled. You know she will never forget this, right? I do, Sansa shrugged. Well, as long as Father is by our side, she can't do anything. I smiled. Not that I care. I just find her newly acquired stupidity to be annoying, Sansa said, rolling her eyes. I smirked. You used to be like her. Don't remind me. Sansa sighed. How is your training coming? Good, though. I still lose every time I fight against any of the soldiers, and I know they hold back. I complained. By my age, Ronard was undefeated, kicking arses left and right. He is a special case for most things, Sansa commented. So don't use his accomplishments as a guideline. Use them more as a suggestion list, I guess. But I want to be strong enough to be his knight and protect him, and I can't right now. I nodded. One day, you will, Sansa chuckled, patting my head. One day you will. Fire was both life and death, innovation and destruction, the means to an end. Whether that end was good or bad depended on the person. Fire was only a tool. What you could do with it, well, that was up to the person in question. For me, fire was like a way to release my pent-up anger and frustration. I didn't ask for anything of this, yet I was the one that had to deal with it. And using my fire helped me alleviate that pain. It was like taking part of that load in my back as a fuel. It was liberating. The more I learned how to use my fire, the better I felt. Of course, the feeling of relief was only temporary, for the weight on my back would always come back. But for that brief moment, I was igniting my pain away. Was it healthy? Probably not. But the medicine for my pain was one thing, and one thing only, the end of this stupid song. For me to finally feel at peace, I would have to kill the Night King and end this, once and for all. But until I could do that, I would bottle up my pain and burn that shit away. But this was no way to live. I had to face my inner demons if I wanted to truly be free of my restraints. If I truly wanted to be free, otherwise, I would be a slave of the consequences. Come, I have YRSSS. In need of me. I felt you were. YRSSS, Rhoda cawed, as he flew over my shoulder. Troubled mind you have. Peace at yourself, you can't achieve. I looked at the raven, with curiosity. Any ideas? YRSSS, meditate you must, for the answer lies within you. Rhoda cawed in answer. Meditation, well, not that I have anything to lose. I sighed. Perhaps it was worth giving it a chance. Meditation was hard, or perhaps I was simply bad at it, because I sat for hours trying to find the answer within myself. Was I mad all the reincarnation deal didn't go as planned? Or perhaps I was mad at the fact a good-for-nothing God is putting everyone's future in my hands. I was mad at myself, because I felt inadequate, without all the blessings I had been given. Who was I? Without them, where would I be? Without those things, what worth did I have? Found the answer you have, Rhodocod. I think I did. I muttered, looking at my hands. MRR. No. The problem found you have, the answer still within you is. YRSSS, Rhodocod. I found my problem. Well, I suppose that's the first step, so I must meditate again? I inquired with a low chuckle. No, for the answer you already know, within you is, Rhoda shook his little head off. I was giving everything that makes me who I am, my strength, my skills. Even you guys, I sighed, looking at Rhoda, I feel lost, for without the blessings of the gods I hate so much by now, I would be nothing, forget it, is stupid. I chuckled. It is, bastard, a raven with a little, wait. Nick Fury? Who cares who gave you what? We work with what we have, and what we don't have we take it and make it ours. You are killing yourself with what-if scenarios. Stop that bullshit, before I give you an eye patch. Well, that was a first. I never expected one of my ravens to talk to me like that. What if ravens didn't have wings? Well, we would walk, bastard. What if sharks didn't breathe underwater? They would walk, bastard. Everything everyone has is given by someone else, but we make it ours. So stop sulking and make everything you got yours. Nick Fury cawed, ending his speech, and I will not lie, it did strike all the chords. Make everything mine. I laughed. Nick Fury was right. I had been thinking all this time. These powers, this destiny wasn't mine. That I had changed the story with my presence, that I was more harm than good. Damn all of that. Damn the gods. Damn the Resident Evil ripoffs beyond the wall. Everything I had. I would make it truly mine. Run we must, Rhoda stated. I see that. Nick Fury cawed, flying out of the area. This fire, this body, these skills, this world, this song, they were all mine, and if not, I would make them mine. With that liberating feeling running through my veins, I pushed my hands forward, igniting the infernal flames within me. And with a powerful primal roar, I set the entire training area on fire, turning the vast area into an inferno, engulfing every inch of it, as I let everything that weighed me down burn alongside my doubts. Wow, I am an amazing teacher, Neltharion commented as he flew around the area. Ha ha ha. I laughed, for it had been a while since I felt like this free. Three-eyed raven POV. The knight had finally done it. He had managed to resurrect one of the oldest dragons in existence to serve him. And he now had everything he needed to destroy the barrier keeping him from reaching the world of the living behind the wall. Is he ready? Leaf inquired. He doesn't have much time left. Is he ready or not? He has to be. I answered, not really sure if he was ready to face this challenge quite yet. But then, deep within the roots of the sacred tree, I felt something. Something unimaginably hot, as if the sun itself was walking on earth. A quick connection to the roots showed me what had happened a few minutes ago. Ronard was standing with his unique ravens, and then fire, lots of fire, burning everything. What happened? Leaf inquired, pulling my shirt. I think we might have a chance after all, I answered, for our champion had defeated one of his enemies already, the one hiding within himself. Daenerys POV, the long night was coming, and we had to be ready. Ronard wasn't the only one that had stakes in this fight, so he didn't have to be the only one suffering. We all had. This fight was for everyone, and everyone had to do their part, whether they like it or not. How close to Valyrian steel are the last batch? I inquired, the blacksmith. Similar, could pass as one to the untrained eye, but they are pale copies compared to the real thing. The blacksmith grunted as he observed the blade. But we are getting close. This last batch is better than the last one. We just need something we are missing. Well, I heard the Valyrian. I was cut off by the sight of a blazing inferno, coming from where my husband was training. No one but him and Neltharion were there. The fire was so big, I almost felt the heat from where I was. Is that? Crow hissed, looking at the fire. Well, Neltharion will never let us forget this. Regal hissed at his brother, with an annoyed look. Yes, Crow hissed back. They seemed to be okay, not worrying a single bit about what was happening at the training place, which probably meant Ronard was okay. He was fireproof either way, but what type of training was he doing? That lead to that fire breaking free. It was liberating to burn away my fears, or to be more accurate, to burn away my emotional baggage. With the fire engulfing me, I felt peace within myself. I was finally free of the chains I had put on my own mind. I was finally free. That was awesome, Neltharion hissed excitedly. It was, I chuckled, seeing the ashes that were all that remained front the training camp. Good thing I trained here only with Neltharion. Free you are, move forward you must, YRSSS. Rhoda commented, flying above me. I knew you had it, you bastard, Nick Fury cawed, happily. Now all I had to do was train my mind and body to face the last wall between me and peace, for I had to be ready to burn everything on my path to achieve that. With determination, I focused on bending the flames of the infernal fire within me, combining it with the natural flames that still lingered around the training camp, noticing that now it was surprisingly easier. After all, I had nothing stopping the flames within me from burning away. It seems I can now summon the flames with ease, I smirked, as I held a fireball within my hand. Once you break that wall, the fire spreads, setting your very core in flames, Neltharion hissed. You started a fire within the forest of your soul, a fire that can't be put down. That's how our fire works. A fire within the forest of my soul. Huh, Neltharion has a knack for poetry. I don't mind. It's mine anyways, I smiled. This fire was mine. I made it mine. Ned Stark POV. I had finally arrived at the wall, concern being my motivator, with the North being the first line of defense. Things were very dire. The others could come at any second now, and we barely had a plan. Not that I blame Ronard. He was fighting and planning 2 wars at the same time. If anything, I respect him even more. Because I respected him and cared for the North, I was concerned that my plans alone would prove to be useless against the others, but it's better to try and fail than to simply accept defeat. Lord Stark, to what do we owe this pleasant visit? Alistair, the current Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, said, taking a small bow. I want to see the state of the wall. I have some concerns about it, I answered, going straight to the point. It would be an honor to give you a tour, Alistair smiled, as he gestured to me with one hand to follow him. As I followed, I noticed the deplorable state the watch was, nothing but a few warriors, and they didn't look like much. No wonder Ronard tasked me with this. As how the wall is now, there is no way they can withstand an attack. As you can see, the wall has seen better days, but I'm making sure things go back to the old days of glory, Alistair commented as she showed me around. Where is my brother? I inquired. He is cleaning the stables, Alistair answered, as he kept walking. I need to talk with him. Why was the first ranger of the Night's Watch cleaning stables? That didn't make any sense. Ben Jin was one of the best and most trusted members of the Watch. Something here was wrong. He is busy right now, Lord Stark. We can't have him lose focus now, can we? Alistair smiled, but there was some venom in his voice. I want to see my brother now, I ordered. Like I said, he is busy, Lord Stark. Need I remind you? Only the king can order me? Alistair grinned. Now do you want that tour, or do you want to leave? Either way, your brother is busy. How dare he? I have come here. Under my king's command, Ronard Mormont, first of his name, breaker of chains, father of dragons, son of the North, king of Essos, and the ruler of the known world, you will lead me to my brother, or I will break this castle down finding him. Your choice. I know no king by that name, Alistair hissed at me. I will take that as treason, I growled, unsheathing my blade. I am the king's justice in the North, and you will taste my steel. The King Joffrey will not allow this, Alistair barked, as he too unsheathed his blade. Protect Lord Stark. My soldiers shouted, readying their swords. Threatening a lord? Really? Did you hit your head with my old desk that much? I knew that voice, Jeor Mormont, the former Lord Commander of the Watch. He might be a lord, but he doesn't hold any power here. Only the king does, and he seems to be believing your grandson is the king. Alistair smirked, a delirious thought. That's for sure. Insulting the king is a crime that is paid with life itself. I would not let anyone disrespect Ronard. I owe him my life, and much more. I was a knight of his round table. That alone meant something. So my grandson managed to do it. Impressive, Jeor Mormont commented. Stand down, Alistair. You are making a fool out of yourself with all this charade. You no longer hold power over me. Gior, so stay out of this. Alistair barked at Gior as he started to walk towards me with his blade ready. I promised to protect the wall from its enemies, and Lord Stark is an enemy of the crown. But someone stopped him. One of the watch members behind him approached him silently and using a long knife, he opened the throat of the commander, making the former fall on his knees, holding his throat tight with desperation with no avail. Alistair's blood ran out onto his clothes, and a few seconds later of slow agony, he died. A man talked too much. The watch member commented, looking at me, a man works with Ronard, so a man has no need to fight you. Who are you? Gior Mormont inquired, with concern. A man has no name, but a man is known as a faceless man, the man answered. Why did you kill him? I asked, not that I wasn't going to do it myself. We have no time to waste with this type of person. Time is of essence, and we must act, the man answered. He killed our commander. One of the night watch soldiers growled angrily. He tried to clash blades with a lord that was sent by the king himself. He was dead a long time ago, Gior Mormont sighed. Now you wanted to see your brother Lord Stark? I looked at Gior for a second before nodding. Aye. Would you take me to him? Sure, though I can't walk as fast as I would like. But you can tell me about my grandson along the way, Breaker of Chains. What an interesting title he has, Gior Mormont chuckled. It would be my pleasure, I smiled. To think my grandson would clean the family name to such extent, truly the best possible thing I could ask for, Gior Mormont smiled. Now follow me. Your brother is a bit far away from here, for me at least. Ned Stark POV. I followed Gior Mormont across the castle, little by little growing worried about my brother's state. Was he okay? Did they do something to him? Why would they? Was it because of Jon? Fear not, Lord Stark. Your brother is fine. Well, he is in one piece. I made sure no one harmed him, but I couldn't stop Alistair from imprisoning him, like I couldn't stop him from being an idiot a few moments ago, Gior Mormont commented as if he was reading my mind. Why? I asked. Well, Alistair grew wary of him after your son escaped, and Benjen challenged him every step of the way, but with a good reason. Alistair was being unfair to everyone. The little power he had gone to his head, he felt like a king. Truly sad, Gior Mormont sighed as he pointed. Here we are. I looked inside the cell, seeing my brother sleeping on the ground like a dog, with nothing but a bowl of water beside him, making me regret I wasn't the one killing that bastard of Alistair. Benjen, I called him. Ned, Benjen said as he woke up, startled by the voice. Why are you here? Apparently saving your sorry arse, I said as Gior Mormont opened the cell. Alistair let you set me free. Odd, Benjen sighed. He is dead, not by my hand sadly, I stated. How? Who? Benjen inquired. It's a long story, I answered. After explaining Benjen what had happened and why I was here, he visibly relaxed, saying he had seen the army of the others firsthand and that we weren't ready to face it. Even with the weapons of Dragonglass Ronard had sent to the wall, Benjen was sure we would lose the wall if a battle broke free. The others are terrifying, Ned. They move as a singular unit. No fear, no hesitation. Their sheer numbers alone are more than enough to crush any army. Benjen commented with a worried expression. Is the king ready for this? Ronard, has been preparing for this for a long time. We might not be completely ready, but we have a fighting chance. That much I know. I replied. After all, we had thousands of Dragonglass weapons and other tools to face the others, including the dragons we had in our side. A fighting chance, that's better than nothing, Benjen sighed. I have also set some defensive measures in case the others cross the wall, I informed Benjen. Like what? Gior Mormont inquired, taking a seat in front of us. Well, after the battle in King's Landing, Ronard acquired a massive quantity of wildfire, and with that I set traps around the forest, making sure to evacuate everyone from the nearby villages, I told them. You plan to set the forest on fire, that would slow them down for a bit, and if we are lucky, it would kill quite a few of those things, Benjen said in deep thought. Did you bring some of that wildfire here to the wall? I nodded. We might want to set some of it inside, in case we know there is no chance to stop them, Gior Mormont offered. That was part of my reason to come here. I informed them. I wanted to make the entire wall a bomb. making the wall our first line of defense and offense. That would certainly be helpful, Benjen nodded. As we continued to talk about strategies, the ground began to shake, with a rhythm. Then, with a loud roar that made everyone in the vicinity clutch their head in pain, I ran towards the widow, but I saw nothing. What was that? I inquired. We have to evacuate, Benjen answered. The others are moving towards the wall, Gior Mormont commented. Bring the wildfire, set the trap, and leave. I will set the wall into flames. I can't let you do that. I shook my head. Ned, I'm old. I lived long enough to see my family crumble with my son and rise with my grandson, if I live. I will be nothing but a burden. I'd rather die like a warrior, being useful, than to die like an old man that couldn't do anything. Besides, it's not that bad. I'm going out on my own terms, Gior Mormont reassured. I will go down with as many bastards I can take. Your grandson will be proud of you. I nodded, knowing full well how stubborn the Mormonts were when they made a choice. Not more than I am of him now. Bring the wildfire. We don't have time to waste, Gior Mormont smiled. You heard the man. Start setting up the trap. I shouted as I ordered my men to move as fast as they could with the plans. Ronard Mormont POV. Is that all you can do? Neltharion taunted. Do you want to be the first dragon to be burned alive? I smirked at him as I dodged the stream of fire he blew at me. As if you could, Neltharion hissed. You asked for it, son. I smirked, taking a deep breath, gathering all the fire I could within myself, as I then expelled from my mouth into a literal sea of flames that immediately covered the dragon in a wave of infernal fire that leaves nothing to be seen behind him. I knew you had a dragon in you. Neltharion hissed happily, smoke coming out of his scales. That was the best fire breath I have seen. Well, I had a good teacher. I praised him. Well, that's true. Neltharion hissed happily. I think you are ready. Now we can finally spar for real. Sparring with a dragon. Well, I suppose he is the only one strong enough to push me. Fine by me. I smirked. Oberyn Martell POV. My brother had arrived from Dorne, for he now had a reason to finally come to this once cursed city that was tainted by the blood of Elia, but had now been cleansed by Ronard. Hello, brother, I greeted. Hello, Doran smiled. Anything new? Well, where do I begin? And so I started, explaining to my brother that the real war has barely just begun, that the others were coming, and that Ronard alone was not enough to face them, and that as the loyal allies we were, we had to help our king with all our might. The others, that's a bedtime story for children, Doran sighed. So were the dragons. This is real, Doran. We need everything we can provide and even that we cannot, I said with a serious tone. This was not a laughing matter. This was life or death, and I wanted to live. You believe him? Doran inquired, looking at me firmly. With every fiber of my body, he is not only my king, but my friend. I answered without hesitation. I was a knight of his round table, his friend, his brother in the battlefield, and I would not let him down. Very well, Doran sighed. You only get serious if the subject requires you to. If Ronard and his tales have so much weight with you, I will do everything to help you too. Better safe than sorry. Yes, that's the gist of it, I laughed. 1 week later. After training for a week, and completely leveling the training grounds to a bulk of ashes and melted swords, I decided to take a quick break. With my fire working as it was right now, I didn't have much to train, besides working out ideas on how to use it properly. Well, that's it for me, I chuckled, rubbing my sore arm that Neltharion had hit with his tail. Got it. I will go and find new collectibles for my hoard then. Neltharion nodded. Do you want me to fly you back to the castle? I thought about his proposition for a second, before deciding it would be best to walk back by myself. It's all right. Go to your thing, I replied with a sigh. Got it. Neltharion nodded, and a few seconds later flew away into the horizon, making me wonder if he was scaring people by flying around the country. Well, I suppose there is no harm as long as he doesn't kill anyone. As I walked towards the castle, feeling pretty worn down, I couldn't help but smile. I had progressed more this last week with my fire than I did a few months ago. I was finally at peace with everything. Well, not everything, but that was about to change. I was confident I would find a way to defeat this monster once and for all. And with this tool, things were looking better for me, for I had learned to use fire beyond the capabilities I thought it had. For as it was capable of destroying, it was also capable of healing. Being the reason why I had trained an entire week nonstop with Neltharion, learning that I could ignite a different type of flame that healed my wounds, leaving me with a refreshed feeling, though this power had a limit. I knew that lethal wounds were an impossibility when it came to healing them with this, but it was nice to know I could heal simply wounds and ease down the fatigue. Well, I turned to the raven that was screaming with all its might, wondering what that hell had just happened. Is there something wrong? I inquired the raven as he flew towards me. Caw, my king, I'm from Nick Fury's squad. I was sent to the north to oversee the wall, and caw. The others are approaching. 5 out of 6 in my squad were killed. The others are 2 weeks from the wall. The raven cawed in fear and agitation. So soon. Shit. Anything you can share about them? They have a dragon. Caw, but it's different. It has almost no flesh, and it towers about your sons. Caw. That thing is bigger than Neltharion, Crow, and Regal together. The raven cawed in fear. A dragon. If it didn't have any flesh, it probably meant the dragon the Night King had died a long time ago beyond the wall. How did your squad die? The raven looked at me before answering, fear and anger flashing on his tiny eyes. We were tasked to keep an eye for those monsters. CAW. And out of nowhere, as we were getting ready to pass this information, they started attacking us, undead birds everywhere. We had no choice but to follow the Corn protocol. The protocol? I inquired, trying to understand in full the situation. If death is unavoidable, one must survive at any cost, so that the information is passed. My brothers fought the undead abominations in the air, buying me enough time to fly away. The raven had by this point its feathers all ruffled up. I only survived because I was the fastest among my squad, and they picked me to escape just for that. I will not forget their sacrifice. Of that you have my word, I stated, animals or not, they were my people, my most loyal subjects, and I would avenge them. Those words. Thanks. The raven cawed. With newfound determination, I will let the Council of Animals know. And with that, the raven flew away, leaving me with a ton of shit to process. I had 2 weeks to prepare. Well, let's see if I can keep my record and stay undefeated, I muttered as I ran towards the castle. Council of Animals, 1 hour after. Animals from different species sat or lay on a field close to the sea, waiting for the council and their representatives to arrive. For the ravens, there was Rhoda and Nick Fury. For the bears, Vladimir and Vodka. For the hawks, Tony Hawk and Petra Hawk. For the krakens, Bob the Kraken. And for the horses, Asmo and Hirsch. The situation is dire, Vodka growled in worry. The day we feared is come. We all knew this shit was coming, and now we have to face it, Nick Fury cawed for everyone to hear. Fear is the path to defeat, Rhoda added. We must use the islands as a safety haven for the non-combatants. The others have no krakens under their control. We still reign supreme on the water, Bob added, from the water. That's a good temporary solution to that problem, Asmo neighed, agreeing with Bob. We must focus first on what to do. How can we help the Applebringer? Hirsch neighed with concern, stomping his hoof on the ground. We must act, and we must do it fast. Many of us will die, but we must stay strong. The founder of the council, the first of to be pet, spoke. We must do what we have been doing these past years. We will fight for our king, and we will die, if necessary. It is our sworn duty to protect him and his family, and we will carry our sworn duty with honor, blood, and glory. The elder cawed, and soon enough every member of the council was stomping the ground in agreement. Daenerys POV, Ronard came to the castle, agitated, sweating not out of training but something else. He didn't even see me as he ran past me. Something was on his mind, something bad, and I feared for the worst. Ronard, I called out, stopping him. Sorry, I didn't see you there, Ronard muttered. We have to get ready. The others are already moving. We have no time to waste. The others. My fears were right. I will start retrieving all the weapons we have made, while you call the banners. I will. Ronard ran, leaving me with a lot of running wilds in my mind, but there was no time to focus on any of it. I had to act fast. I had to ensure everything went as smoothly as possible for the upcoming battle. Georg Mormont POV, time was something I had experienced. I had seen dynasties being destroyed and new kings rising. I had seen my family go from nothing to scum to royalty. My life was a full one. I had experienced everything one could ask for. Well, this is a nice vacation without people, I chuckled. My last few days of this world, and I was happy. Happy that my demise would help my grandson. Even if it was just a bit, even if I only killed a couple of those things. I would be already doing more than I could possibly achieve staying alive, though I wasn't dying alone. Eamon, the oldest member of the Watch, had decided to stay with me as well, for the same reason, to make his last few moments memorable like mine. We are relics of an old time. Eamon commented with a soft smile. I am glad that I get to go. Helping my family. Our family. The world is pretty small, huh? A bear and a dragon, riding this world together. I chuckled. A truly magnificent sight. Eamon smiled. Moving my army in such a short notice was a hard task, but one that I would complete no matter what. Sending my ravens to each one of the houses, I ordered the great and small houses to start calling their men, for the last war was looming above us. As for me, once I was ready sending my letters and letting Daenerys know of the situation, I left with Neltharion towards the wall. I had to stop, or at least see what the enemy was planning. A dragon of such magnitude would prove to be a problem. But one that had a simple solution. I had to kill the bastard that controlled him and everything would be over. Though this was one of the scenarios that was easier said than done. Approaching the king of any army was the end goal of almost all wars, meaning no matter who you were or what you were, the king was always the most protected piece in the game of war. Be it by his skills or his people, the Night King was one that filled both categories. He was no doubt strong and had an army that protected him at any move. But that was simply the tip of the iceberg. The thing that made him dangerous was that his army and him were one, a singular force to be reckoned with, meaning the element of surprise was an impossibility with him as my enemy. But regardless of how impossible it was to kill the bastard, I had to do it. He was the Long Night. His demise was a necessity. I had to kill him one way or another. Fire was useless against him, that I had seen on the show. And so was Dragonglass, which only leaves one option, Valyrian Steel. But considering what I know about his original version, I'm the only one that can face him. But how can I fight him? Without his minions getting in my way, if I knew for certain that I was superior to him in every way, I would rush our duel, fighting him one-on-one. But with his new abilities being in the unknown for me, I had to be careful. If I rushed my hand, and he proved to be at least an equal in combat, I would die. So I had to play this last game with the utmost care. A wise man once said, if you don't know the strengths and weaknesses of your enemy, always assume he's stronger than you. That way you can truly be prepared for anything he might throw at you. And by that principle, I was going to act, assuming he was stronger, until I had the chance to actually prove that assumption. We are an hour away from the north, Neltharion hissed. If we encounter the enemy, don't fight. We don't know what to expect yet. Remember, he controls the dead. In the show, the Night King killed a dragon like it was a fly. And that was something I was not going to allow. My sons were going to survive this. I was going to make sure of that. Here I am, Nick Fury said, landing on my shoulder, surprisingly catching up with us. The first thing I noticed was that his claws were covered in a very rudimentary dragonglass claw glove, and that he had some type of dagger hanging around his body. How did he do that? How did you get that? I pointed to his little feet. Some glue, patience, and a lot of time off. I don't care if I lose a leg. I will scratch some bastard death. Nick Fury caught. How did you catch up with us anyway? I asked. Well, in reality, you two caught up with me. I was already on my way there. Nick Fury cawed. The Animal Council is moving as we speak. Ravens, bears, we are ready to die. We are using the dragonglass leftovers to equip ourselves, though. I stole this from the crazy-ass kid that you broke on the arena, he added, as he showed me the dagger. Valyrian Steel, I will kill as many of those bastards before I die. Don't go into battle with that mindset. I sighed. Why was everyone so ready to die? They should be trying to survive. Our main priority has always been you, your safety, and then your wife came. And well, Nature took its course, and Alyssa and Gerald came into the picture. We always knew this day would come, the day when we would have to put our lives in the line to give you a chance. And if the chance you need takes every single one of us, we will gladly burn in hell along that bastard. We will die for you if needed. We will disobey you if it means protecting you and your family. You are part of our flock. They are part of our flock. So be ready and focus on killing the bastard. We will help you with our lives, Nick Fury cawed, and his words once again struck some chords within me. I don't know what I did to deserve such loyalty, but I am eternally glad of it. I smiled. These ravens had been with me every step of the way. Without them, I would probably be lost. You treated us like equals. You valued our opinions. You didn't look down on us. And well, you gave us corn, Nick Fury cawed. Now you are tied to us, whether you like it or not. I don't. I smiled, wondering just how many of my loyal friends would die in this last war. Probably too many. One was too many. But I would make sure their sacrifices don't go in vain. I would win this war, no matter what. Ned Stark POV. Jeor Mormont and Aemon Targaryen, the only two members of the Watch that volunteer to stay behind, with the intention to blow themselves along the wall up in a blazing inferno, with the intention of taking as many monsters with them as possible, an honorable sacrifice that was unquestionable. But right now, it wasn't the time to mourn or admire them. Right now, we had to use every asset in our hands to slow the horde and whatever made that roar as much as possible. The wall and the forest next to the wall were the main lines of defense. Wildfire was volatile, and any fire ignited with such substance could last hours, even in the harsh conditions of the north, and each second was precious. We needed to wait for Ronard. Without his help, the north would fall within a fortnight of them crushing the wall down. Give every man able to fight a dragon-last weapon, I commanded my men, holding the ancestral sword of my family, ice tied on my hands. Ronard had said Valyrian steel was their kryptonite, whatever that was. But his explanation explicitly said that Valyrian steel was a one-shot kill for them. No matter where you cut them, a single cut of ice would kill them. Prepare the next barrel of wildfire. We need more traps. If I see a white, and he's not on fire, we're doing this wrong. It took me a couple of hours to arrive to where Ned Stark was, getting a closer update of the situation, and it seems the others were coming toward the wall as we spoke. Ned also informed me he heard a powerful roar in the distance, a roar that could be heard miles away from the wall. I had to act fast. I had to stop them. So I had to organize the information I had. For one, they had a dragon, but for some reason the Night King had decided to march on the ground, meaning either he is confident in his victory, or the dragon is incapable of flying. If so, I had an advantage against him. I needed to see up close how strong was his army to get a general idea of what to expect, on how to move, but the little I knew was not enough. My ravens had information about the army, but their information had a lot of blanks. I needed numbers, formations, and more. We need to scout his army, Nick Fury offered. And while tempting, the idea was absolutely out of the table. If the chance of survival was 1 out of 10, I didn't want to increase his power even more, but I still needed to know. Maybe I could wait for the Night King in the wall, that way I would get a better look. Of course, by all means, I had no intention of fighting the army alone. This plan was for me to simply get a peek at the enemy forces. After that, I would fly with Neltharion out of the wall, with more information about what to expect. I will go to the wall, I decided, getting worried looks for everyone around me. You can't go alone, Ned Stark protested. I won't fight alone, rather. I won't fight at all, I sighed. I just want to get a general idea of what we are actually facing. Fighting the unknown is a double-edged sword. If our strategy is ill-suited for their power, we will lose. I knew that much. I won the crown because I was an unknown, a mystery, one that no one solved in time. It's still too risky. Ned Stark protested once again. If you die, humanity will fall right behind you. Fear, huh? I didn't expect to see him like this. I won't die, not right now, I said, realizing that this was the first time since I reincarnated that I was actually afraid of dying. Because it was a possibility. I can't change your mind, can I? Ned Stark muttered in defeat, with his head low. No, I shook my head. Then, I wish you the best. Ned smiled. Don't disappoint us now. He added, have I ever? I chuckled. No, Ned sighed. No, you haven't. With my mind set on seeing his army, I flew with Neltharion to the wall. On the way, worry clouded my mind. I didn't have much of a plan. All I had was a goal, to kill the bastard. But without a plan, that seemed unlikely. But I was not about to give up. Right now, I didn't know anything about the enemy, nothing about its power, military speaking. But once I got a general idea of what to expect, I would surely find a way to defeat the monster, ending this once and for all. We are close to the wall, Neltharion informed me. Good. I sighed. Good. Three-eyed Raven POV. The time of reckoning was near. The last song was waiting to be played, and we all had to play our parts. Me included. Right now, I was accompanying Leaf in the wildings in my Raven, while my body stayed on the sacred tree to observe the Night King. We have to move faster. We have to get to the wall, Leaf muttered, her magic being the sole reason we still were alive. We can't keep the shield any longer. We are a few days ahead of the Night King, and he no longer has an interest on us. Not since he found that old dragon, I sighed as I ruffled my wings. We will get there. I know. But the sooner we get there, the more time we will be able to buy Ronard, Leaf sighed. And what exactly do you plan to do to buy him more time? Tormund scoffed. I don't know if you saw, but that bastard has a monster for every pair of bare titties in the world. Bare titties? I plan to atone. We all do, Leaf answered, getting nods of confirmation from the few members of her species that remained. How? Ygritte asked. All magic comes from life. You can't create anything without giving anything in return. You have to give, to receive, unless the magic you have is a gift from the gods. Otherwise, you have to pay a price every time you use magic, Leaf answered. The bigger the sacrifice, the bigger the result. So we will sacrifice all we have, our lives, to buy humanity some time. You plan on dying. How long? How long will you buy with your life? I inquired. Me? A week or two, Leaf answered. All of my people? A month, maybe a bit more. I can't really tell. The Night King is stronger. So in the end, I don't really know. I see. I nodded, my feather ruffling in concern. Is there any other way? No. I must atone for what I have done, Leaf smiled. If my death can change the tides of this war, even a bit, it will make all of this worth it. I see. We all must play our parts. We all must do our absolute best if we want to win. I didn't want her to kill herself, but in the end, she was right. Even a day was valuable right now. Is this Ronard that important? Ygritte inquired. Do you two really think he can stop that thing coming? I looked at the girl, who was trying with all her might to conceal her fear. All her life, she had been fighting alone to survive. She never showed weakness before and was trying hard not to right now. I can't really tell. I don't see the future, only the past and the present, I answered. But I can tell you that in all history, there has never been a man more capable of facing this. If he can't, humanity never stood a chance. Way to lighten up the mood, Tormund grumbled. Well, he better win, or I'll kill him myself. All we can do is trust him and help him every way we can, I added. I see, Ygritte sighed. Well, if I have to die. I'd rather die fighting. Me too, Tormund nodded. Then let's make haste. We can waste a second here. We must arrive at the wall as soon as possible, Leaf said. And once again, everyone started marching. Let's go and meet the bastard. Tormund chuckled. Yes, let's. Ygritte nodded with a soft smile. The wall was as deserted as I expected, with no one but the two lone souls that had decided to end their paths in a noble sacrifice. My grandfather and Aemon Targaryen. Well, now all I had to do was wait and see what I was facing, and then act accordingly. But for now, I had to find the last two members of this dying ship, Ronard. And as if on cue, Jeor Mormont came out of a tower, with a smile to greet me, giving me a fierce hug. To think my grandson would do so much in so little time. You fill me with pride. I smiled at the old man. A pleasure to meet you, grandfather. Not that I'm not glad. But what are you doing here? Jeor inquired. Didn't Lord Stark tell you what we plan to do? I nodded. He did. But I need to see what I'm facing. Otherwise, I'm fighting a shadow, with no idea what to expect. I then looked at the old man that happened to be my grandfather and asked, "Are you really sure you want to do this? We can explode this wall without you two here." Before my grandfather could answer, Eamon interrupted from afar, with a weak smile. "I think I can answer that," he said, as he struggled to walk towards us, showing that his age had taxed him a lot. I looked at him, waiting for him to be close enough to answer, wondering why. Why were they so eager to throw their lives away? I just don't understand completely, at least. "I'm old, my king, very old," Eamon sighed. "When you were this old, you often spend half of night haunted with the ghosts of another lifetime, remembering times 50 years past as if they were yesterday. I have been ready to die for a long time. This just gives me an opportunity to make it meaningful." Jordan Mormont nodded. "For me, it's similar. My watch is coming to an end, and I'm happy to say, I don't have any regrets. You changed that." Meaningful words from a man I hadn't met till today, and somehow they made me feel better, but even more troubled to let him. "Then stay. I see. Then I shall respect your decision. But nonetheless, I would respect their choices, for very few men have the privilege of choosing how to go." "Is it too much to ask if I asked you to show me one of your dragons?" Eamon inquired. "Let me call him." I smiled as I whistled, calling my son to come. Seconds later, Neltharion landed on the wall with the utmost care. "This old guy smells like a dragon." "He is in a way," I chuckled. "Remarkable. You can communicate with him, and he understands you. Truly remarkable." Eamon smiled as he caressed one of Neltharion's claws. "All my life I wanted to see one." "You made an old man happy. Now I can die knowing my family lives on, and that dragons actually exist. Truly, this last week has been one of the best in my life." "I'm glad," I smiled. "He smells like death," Neltharion hissed. He does," I nodded. "Well, make yourself at home. We don't have much, but it will do," Jir offered. But before I was able to answer, Neltharion hissed an alert. Someone was here. "I smell people. They smell alive," Neltharion hissed. "We have company. Are we expecting anyone?" I asked the veterans. "No," they both answered in one voice. "Then, let's see who's knocking." I smiled as I followed Neltharion close behind, leaving the two old men behind. "Knocking," Eamon muttered. "It must be a saying, or an inside joke. Lord Stark said Ronard loves those." Jir shrugged. "The sad things about being old," Eamon sighed. I flew with Neltharion to the door, where the unexpected visitors were trying to get in. From the skies, I was able to see around 500 to 1,000 people, all together in one place, survivors. "I did not expect that. It was hard," a raven said, flying beside me. Wait a damn second. There is only one raven in my army that can talk, and that is Nick Fury, the three-eyed raven, I suppose. "A pleasure to finally meet you." The three-eyed raven nodded. "So, is this all that remains from the wildings?" I inquired. "Yes, 862 people. Not a lot, but considering what we were facing, it's a remarkable number," the three-eyed raven answered. "Remarkable indeed," I nodded, as I ordered Neltharion to descend into the group. "A dragon. I bet the damn chosen one is riding it," a man grumbled as I descended with Neltharion. "Good. Make an enemy of the man riding a dragon." "If you want to die, please do so yourself, Tormund," a young woman reprimanded. "Oi, piss off, Ygritte," Tormund growled. "Make me," Ygritte challenged. We finally meet. Anger sparked inside of me, like a fire that was starting to spread within my soul, a raging fire. You see, normally in things like this, you don't get to see and meet the person responsible for all the shit you are going through. I mean, in most stories those bastards die, or are simply out of reach. Yet, in front of me was the person responsible for creating the biggest abomination this world has seen, Leaf and her people. "Give me one good reason why I shouldn't kill you?" I asked with a cold tone, as Neltharion roared to accentuate my threat. "I don't have any," Leaf answered without skipping a beat. "I know I can never atone for what I did, but I can buy you some time. At least that way, my death will mean something. Heck, piss off. She has helped way more than you." Tormund growled, holding his axe ready to strike me down if needed. "While you smashed your wife and enjoyed the good life, She helped us, so piss off. I looked at him for a second before I started to laugh at the irony of the situation. Protecting the person responsible for the death of your comrades. I find this oddly entertaining. Is riding that dragon hurting your head or something? Tormund barked. The one that killed my people is the Night King. I smiled as I pointed at Leaf. And who do you think created the Night King? Tormund looked at me, and then at Leaf, doing the same motion for a couple of times before he exploded in anger. I will kill you, bitch. As amusing as it was to see Leaf ready to accept her fate, I couldn't let her die. If she had a way to buy me time, her existence was still worth keeping. Sorry, but she gets to live. For now, I said as I knocked Tormund out cold with a kick to his guts. Good call, Ygritte sighed. After all, she said she had a way to buy you time. It would be a shame to kill her now. Huh, the young lady was quite smart. Yes, she did. I nodded as I gazed at the subject in question. Leaf's plan was quite straightforward. She and the few remaining of her people would use their lives to strengthen the wall, giving me a month or so at much plan. That would give you the time to better prepare, Leaf said, as she ended the explanation of her plan. I see. I narrowed my eyes, so I have 1 month. Maybe a bit more, but I can't say. Leaf answered. Very well. Kill yourself. I was angry for the sheer stupidity she had to create a weapon with so many windows for failure. How in the 7 hells didn't she all the downsides of creating a damn lich? How stupid you have to be to not see how bad that was going to backfire. A bit harsh on her, don't you think? The three-eyed raven stated. If you think that's harsh, our definition of harsh is vastly different. I rolled my eyes at the raven. She was young and wanted to protect her people. The three-eyed raven added, being young does not give you a free pass to screw the world. Even a blind man would have been able to see how bad that idea was. I replied, I suppose then you haven't made a mistake you regret then? The three-eyed raven shot back. Oh yeah, how could I forget? After this I have to fight the 8 Night Kings I made. I shot back with a scoff. At least my mistakes will not haunt the world to the point we are facing an extinction-level threat. So please do shut up, I sighed. Very well, the three-eyed raven nodded. I will keep an eye for the Night King. How far is he? I asked. A week. If he keeps slowing down, maybe more, the three-eyed raven answered. Very well, I nodded. The more the bastard took to get here, the better it was for me. Melisandre POV, the fire. Last night it showed me a vision, a terrifying vision, a fight between Ronard, my light, and the monster lurking in the shadows, the Night King. The fight was like a blur of motions, and everything was from Ronard's perspective. I saw him fighting, in some sort of duel, and for the first time, I saw him struggling to keep up the pace. Avoiding multiple attacks from all directions as he didn't manage to connect a single attack, cornered, fighting the monster alone, and in the middle of the battle, Ronard was struck down. I couldn't see if he died or not. The vision stopped the moment the Night King cut him down. From what I was able to gather from that vision, Ronard wasn't able to land a single hit on the monster. It was as if the monster had no blind spots. But none of this made any sense. Why would Ronard go and fight the monster alone? It was uncharacteristic of him. Yes, he was reckless, but because he knew no one was a match for him. But the Night King, he was an unknown. I was afraid the vision ended because he died with that cut the Night King gave him. But that also didn't make any sense. My lord would never choose a champion if said champion was destined to lose. Perhaps this was the way the mighty lord had to warn. I had to stop Ronard from dueling the beast. I won't let you die. No matter what, I was not going to let him die. No matter what. We are 2 weeks away from the north, Jon Targaryen stated. I would recommend all of you to wear something warm. Winter and harsh, no need. I sighed. The fire is all the warmth I need. Daenerys POV. It would take 3 months to move every single banner to the north, but we didn't have that time. So I took the decision of moving with around 70% of the army to the north, and while I knew Ronard would be mad seeing me there, I had to, even if it was just to kiss him goodbye. My queen, someone called outside my carriage. Melisandre wants to talk to you. The Red Witch, Ronard said she was useful but dangerous, that I had to be careful around her. Let her in. My queen. Melisandre bowed inside the carriage. Do you need something? I asked, wondering what was so important that it couldn't wait till later. I'm sure you are aware of my rare gifts. Melisandre started. Well, one of those gifts is seeing parts of the future, parts the Lord of Light allows me to see. A cold feeling started to spread through my body, shivers running down my spine as my body went cold. What did you see? Had Ronard died? No, he couldn't. He promised, and he never breaks his word. Not to me. Ronard will somehow end in a duel with the Night King, and I'm not sure if he survives or not. You must stop him. You are the only one with enough pull to do so, Melisandre stated. In my vision, he was losing, and it was by a lot. Outclassed. It was terrifying. Ronard outclassed. That is impossible. He was the best at what he did. Unbeatable, unstoppable. Was the Night King that strong? I inquired. I can't tell. The fire showed Ronard fighting the Night King one-on-one. The Night King had his army behind him, but they didn't intervene. And Ronard just couldn't seem to hit him. Even without looking, the Night King was able to effortlessly dodge his attacks. I don't know how. I see. I was gasping for air at this point. I didn't want to lose him. I wasn't ready to live without him. I don't think their power is too far apart. In reality, I think they are somewhat evenly matched, but the Night King has something that gave him the edge on that duel, and I don't know what. Melisandre stated. How are you so sure? I asked. They both represent the two sides of a coin. This disparity is not something my lord would allow. Melisandre answered, and I hoped with all my heart. She was right. The days waiting for the Night King were excruciating. I knew he was coming. The three-eyed raven was keeping me updated with his movements, and even then it was torture to wait for the bastard. Leaf has yet to sacrifice herself. She was apparently waiting for the Night King to arrive to do the sacrifice. And to top all the shit that was piling for the nearby future, my wife was coming to the most dangerous place on Earth right now, the North. Can you beat the bastard? Tormund inquired. Well, it's not a matter of if. I have to beat him, even if he proves to be stronger. I will defeat him, I answered. Well, you kicked my arse in a single punch. So I want to believe you can, Tormund laughed, if we survive this. I will find myself a big, muscular, strong monster of a woman, and I will make her mine. I looked at the wildling with amusement. If we survive. I have someone in mind for you. Who knows, she might like you. I chuckled, wondering if without Jaime, Brienne would fall for him. That it's a promise. Tormund grinned. I nodded with a smile. Well, I will stretch my legs for a bit. If you need me, chilling cold invaded my body, like never before, to the point it almost felt like fear. They are close, Tormund muttered, holding his axe tight. Those suckers are near. Before I had a chance to process the feeling that had invaded me for a brief second, the three-eyed raven appeared. They're a day away. The raven stated. That cold feeling was that bastard flexing his undead unholy power at me from afar? Good. Well, he wasn't the only one that had things to flex about. I'm waiting for him. You sure have some balls, Tormund laughed. I like it. Fighting death itself with no fear. You are like a considerably stronger and younger version of me. No, just no. I rolled my eyes at him as I walked away. It's undeniable, Tormund shouted as I walked away. Great. Just what I needed, someone weirder than Oberyn. Tormund is testing your patience? Ygritte asked with a smirk. Yes, but also no, he's just being annoying. I chuckled. That's Tormund for you. Ygritte shrugged, by the way. I had a question. I wanted to ask you. I looked at her for a second, wondering what was the question in her head, before I nodded. Sure, go ahead. What is your plan with us, after this end? Ygritte asked. A very valid question. Her people were notorious enemies of the kingdom. Some of the wildling tribes were known for raiding villages, others for eating people, and some should be happy the Night King killed them. Because I would have tortured them. I suppose that depends on your people. Huh? Ygritte muttered, confused. I don't have anything against your people. Heck, I even admire some of you. But there are some things I just can't allow. I stated, eating people, raiding, and of course, kidnapping others, forcing them to marry members of the tribe. It's our way. Ygritte said in a defensive tone. Well, if that's your way, then the only fate that awaits your people is extinction, I stated with a cold tone, so your only chance of survival is by obeying. My people don't kneel, we know no king. Ygritte shot back defensively. I looked at her with amusement. I think there is a problem of miscommunication between us. Let me fix that. Your people will kneel, or they will die. There is no middle ground. You are either with me or against me. That much you can decide. Ygritte looked at me, anger flashing through her face like Christmas lights. My people, the few that remain, are not a threat to you. We don't eat people. We mostly survive by hunting and raiding occasionally. All we want is true freedom. You are in my kingdom, and you will abide by the rules I have. You don't like them? You can leave and rot. I don't care if the ancestral way of your people is raiding, because if you do decide to raid and ignore my authority, I will hunt every single wilding, erasing your kind from the face of the earth. You want absolute freedom. By all means, go beyond my borders, but within them. You will obey, I stated, leaving no room for more conversation. If she wanted to continue her life the way she was taught, she would meet her end sooner than later. You are harsh to those that show opposition. The three-eyed raven commented as I walked. Maybe you are right. Maybe I should ask them, with something like, pretty please, don't break my rules, or I'll get mad. I joked, I'm not asking her to suck my big D. All I'm asking is for her and her people to understand that they have to abide by my rules if they want to remain under my kingdom, and that if they break the rules, I will have to kill them, and that applies to everyone. If freaking Ned Stark starts raiding and graping people, I would kill him without hesitation. They won't kneel, the three-eyed raven stated. I hope for their own good they don't break my rules. I shrugged. Besides, I have confidence that they will see how bad their situation is and will fall into line. After all, the Dothraki bend the knee, and they were the pinnacle of shit human beings. I see, the three-eyed raven said. Oberyn Martell POV. Well, I had a good life. I slept around a lot. I drank a lot. I enjoyed every pleasure life had to offer. And more. Deep down I knew I couldn't complain. I had done everything I wanted. I had avenged Elia. Well, Ronard did. Nonetheless, Elia had been avenged. I had seen my daughters growing to be fear-inspiring women. And well, my life was complete. Well, almost. I made a promise the moment I met Ronard, a kid young enough to be my son. I promised the gods that if he helped me avenge my family, I would forever serve him, protecting him. Being fair, I didn't know at the time he was capable of kicking my ass with a single hand, but nonetheless, I was a man of my word. Father, do you believe him? Obara inquired, as we rode towards the north. I do. I mean, he's fireproof. I kinda have to believe him. I shrugged. Well, I'll be highly disappointed if I die, and I didn't get to ride him. Tyene pouted. Am I that annoying? I chuckled. Please, for the love of me. Stop that. The queen will have my balls if you keep hitting on her husband. She just can't process there is a man that can resist her. Nymeria rolled her eyes at her sister. He's just playing hard to get, Tyene scoffed. Yeah. Sure, whatever helps you sleep, sister, Obara smirked. And so my dear daughters started to argue, and I couldn't help but smile, knowing this might be the last moment I have to enjoy such simpler things. The last 24 hours of waiting were excruciating, and yet the worst had yet to come. As the waves of undead soldiers got themselves into position, I couldn't help but stare in disbelief. His army eclipsed mine in sheer numbers. Giants, ice spiders, and more. With 80% of his army being nothing but walking skeletons, meaning he had resurrected even those who had died a long time ago. And yet, the Night King was nowhere to be seen. Where the hell is he? I muttered in question as I paced around the wall. I can't see him. There are too many of them, the three-eyed raven grumbled. I can see that. I sighed. He's coming, Leaf said, taking a deep breath. I will commence the ritual. We will buy you as much time as we can possibly exchange for our lives. Very well. I nodded, not really paying much attention to her. Ronard. That was him, his voice. The dark and chilling tone that had plagued my dreams with nightmares sending shivers of cold down my spine. We finally meet. Taking a deep breath, I turn to look beyond the wall, seeing the monster slowly approaching the wall. Can't say it's a pleasure, I spat, loud enough to deliver the message. Death is unavoidable. I'm a calamity. You can't change, the Night King stated. Just accept death and stop this struggle, I see. Well, here is my counteroffer, I shouted, so that my voice could reach him. Damn you. You truly think you stand a chance, do you? The Night King sighed. Then allow me to show you the truth. With that, he snapped his finger. Immediately after, a massive dragon glided above his undead army, landing beside him, making it clear that the undead dragon was at least 4 times taller than the wall, though I had noticed something. Holy hell, Neltharion hissed, seeing the massive dragon from afar. There was no doubt in my mind that in a physical clash, Neltharion would be sorely outmatched by that thing, but in aerial combat, Neltharion reigned supreme. The dragon, while massive, had holes on his wings, making it hard for him to fly very high, limiting his movement to glides and large jumps. Are you overcompensating for something? I shouted, trying to see if he was even capable of feeling insulted. Let's make a friendly challenge. To show you why. It's best to give up willingly, the Night King said as he ignored my previous statement. Friendly challenge. What was this bastard thinking? What? A duel? You and me. No one else. No army. Just the 2 of us. If you win, well, my army dies. Wasn't that too good to be true? What was he planning? And if I lose? I inquired. You can't be seriously considering this. Neltharion hissed. It depends, you might die, or you might survive, but that's not what I really want. I want to show the world that even their savior is powerless against me. Talk about ego. But I had to admit, his deal was sweet, too sweet, the one-on-one I had been so desperately planning for, and he was just offering it to me. The problem was, I had no idea if that abomination was going to keep his word. There was no guarantee that he would, and against an army that big. I would die in minutes if I was lucky. Dad, listen to me. You can't. He will cheat, and he will kill you. Don't do something rash. That bastard will just call his army as soon as you step there. Neltharion hissed, worried, and he was right. But still, if there was a chance to avoid all the unnecessary blood, I wanted to try it, if I accept. What guarantee I have you won't just use your army to kill me? I asked. No. Neltharion roared at me, anger being the controlling emotion. I don't have a need to lie. I will win. Lies are meaningless to me. His tone of voice, his demeanor, his lack of mortality. This monster saw himself as a god, and fortunately for me, he didn't see me as a rival worthy of even considering the option of lying. Very well, I nodded. I accept. I won't let you. Neltharion growled at me. If I have to drag you out of the castle, I will. He will fight the duel alone, I reassured him. I won't let you. Neltharion hissed in pain. I'm not ready. I can't. You can't. Do you really think he will outclass me that bad? I asked. No. I know you can beat him, but I don't trust his words. Neltharion hissed softly, nuzzling my head. Well, if he tries anything, I'm counting on you. You know to. Drag me out of there. I laughed, wondering if I was making the right choice. If I die, get Daenerys, the kids, your brothers, and the ravens and fly to the other side of the world. And never stop. Neltharion just stared at me, pain. Emotional pain showing on his face. I will. I was afraid. My own stupidity had led me to, well, what I was doing right now. Walking towards the enemy army. At least they weren't moving at all, but they were staring quite intensively. Following me with their eyes, their unblinking eyes. As I promised. None of them shall move, the Night King stated, as I appreciated how he actually looked. His face was giving a light dim blue color, like a small fog was covering his face. His eyes were glowing blue. It was very similar to Arthas from World of Warcraft. God, I hope he doesn't have the same powers if. So I am so in trouble. I see, I said as I used a bit of my internal fire to keep my body warm. Being in front of him was worse than swimming naked on Winterfell during winter. The cold was unbearable in front of him. Let our duel begin. Let's. I nodded as I unsheathed my sword. Neltharion Mormont Ravenicus Targaryen POV. I had a bad feeling about this. That abomination was hiding something. Something that would give him an edge on this duel. But what? I don't like this. I muttered to myself. Your father is both brave and stupid. If this bit of his fail, humanity is gone. The three-eyed raven sighed. Ronard Mormont POV. I rushed at the monster, swinging my blade in a circular motion, only for him to move inches before the attack even managed to connect, delivering a counterattack to my side that I managed to block just in time. The attack itself managed to push me back a few meters. He was strong enough to push me back. I had to change my strategy. I had to play dirty, taking a deep breath as I summoned my fire within. Knowing full well he was immune to fire, and would most likely don't move to avoid such attack. But what he didn't know was that I didn't pretend to use fire. The fire was just the means to an end, and my end was nothing but smoke. With a smirk, I coughed a smoke screen at him. I had to be fast. His field of vision was obstructed. This was my chance to deliver a killing blow, and end this. Locking my eyes on my target, I swung my blade at his neck, but much to my shock. In response to my attack, he simply stepped out of the way. I kept on hacking my blade at him, each and every single attack being dodged with ease. This didn't make any sense. He wasn't that much stronger than me. His first attack said that much. We were in the same league, and even then, my attacks couldn't reach him. He shouldn't be able to dodge so many attacks when the majority of them are aimed at his blind spot. Without even looking at me, he was dodging shit he didn't even see. And like a thunder, the first cut came unannounced, making me flinch in pain. You see, you can't even reach me. I held my arm in pain as a bit of blood slowly dripped down as I tried to find the how. Was he moving like that? His reactions weren't normal. It was as if he was seeing me from all angles. But how? Don't get cocky. You are not the first to make me bleed. I scoffed, getting ready for round two. His movements were too perfectly timed. Left and right, my attacks were being either blocked or avoided, and little by little, he was cutting me. For the first time in my life, I was struggling to keep up. For the first time in my life, I felt outmatched. Give up? Give up? Never. If I didn't find a weakness in him, everything would end badly. I couldn't allow that to happen. If I had to die, I would make my death have some meaning. You don't get tired of asking me the same thing over and over and over again? I inquired, trying to maintain my bravado, yet it was clear as the day who was winning so far. Perhaps you're right, the Night King concluded. With nothing more to say, the Lich lunged forward, quickly sprinting towards me and coming closer, jabbing out his sword in an attempt to stab my eyes. Still, reflex kicked in, and I jumped backwards, avoiding the attack, but he continued his assault, trying to cut my legs to stop my movement. I noticed this at the last second and got away with a small, bleeding slice. During this exchange, I noticed something I had failed to earlier, that while attacking, we were equally matched, yet his defense was vastly superior, meaning I was able to defend but no attack. I knew deep down something was off with this. No one excels in one category over the other that much, and being undead didn't make him the exception. As I studied his moves, trying to find a weakness in his defense, he again sprinted at me. Still, this time I just waited with my sword ready, blocking his attack as our blades clanged together, creating a rumbling echo through the ice hell around us, and another little detail popped. I was physically stronger than him, not by much, but enough to push him back. Somehow my fighting chance had been exponentially increased when I stopped trying to attack, taking the lead, like I normally do. And now that I think about it, every cut he had been able to give me was after a failed attack, at least the big ones, meaning whatever advantage he had was only active when I was on the attacking lead. Going into the defense? Intriguing, the Night King said, as the weight of my sword was pushing him back, but he soon recovered, creating an ice lance trying to catch me by surprise. Barely avoiding the unexpected attack, I jumped back and dashed forward with my sword straight out in front of me as I attempted to stab him. I knew this was a bad choice, but I had to see that ability of his in action, and once again his dodged my attack with deadly precision and cut my chest. Shit, I snarled, jumping back to recover. As I went over the information I had gathered, for one, His speed hadn't changed at all while dodging, nor his attack power. What had actually changed was his battle awareness. But how? While attacking and while dodging, his levels of awareness changed drastically. Perhaps, I had a crazy theory, but if it proved to be right, Neltharion would never let this die, telling me, "I told you so," for the rest of my human life. Taking a deep breath, I filled my lungs with air as I expelled from a literal sea of flames at the Night King. I knew fire didn't hurt him, but that wasn't my intention. Using the massive tsunami of flames as a cover, running around the Night King, expelling out a combination of smoke screens and more fire, creating a dome of fire and smoke around him. Once I was sure his entire field of vision was either covered in flames or smoke, I dashed behind the monster, as I noticed he was staggering back, not knowing where I had gone. Taking this opportunity, I swung my blade at him, and this time, my attack managed to cut him. He reacted a bit slower, dodging the attack from being lethal, but still. I had finally delivered a small cut on his arm that was now cracked like a mirror. "You cheating little asshole," I chuckled in both anger and happiness. "So that's your power. No wonder I was getting my ass kicked. Impressive. I didn't expect you to figure it out, not after the first smokescreen failed," the Night King said, holding his arm. "To think you share a field of vision with all your minions." No wonder my attacks never hit home. The bastard had literally stolen a page from the Rinnegan book. "It changes nothing. You are barely able to keep up at this point," the Night King stated. "Perhaps," I shrugged. "I never really intended to kill you right here, not after this. If you had saved all of this for our real, in the battlefield, you would have won. I have no doubts of that." "You talk as if this little discovery changed your unshakable and unavoidable defeat," the Night King said. "You have no idea how much this changes things," I smirked. "Perhaps. But who is to say you will come alive out of this?" The Night King smiled at me. "Well, he has a point, a single command on his part, and I was dead meat." "Ominous. I have also to show you all my powers. We are in many ways equal. You control fire, and I control ice." "Yeah," I noticed. I interrupted. "Oh, but that little spear was just the tip," the Night King stated as he moved his hands, sending a barrage of iceberg spikes at me that started protruding from the ground in front of him, going towards me. "Shit," I muttered. I leaped from iceberg spike to iceberg spike, struggling to avoid being impaled by them in the process, as my left hand suddenly started glowing, showing the runes of Gandalf. This was the second time something like this had happened. It was unexpected, but somehow it was not easier to move around. I was stronger and faster. "You can't win," the Night King screamed, as I continued to dodge his endless assault of ice-powered attacks. "Change the damn tune, will ya?" I shouted back as I started to plan my escape. While this newfound strength was helpful, I had to get back into the wall. I had no chance of winning as I was now. My body was on its limit, and the runes helping me right now were at best a momentary boost that was numbing all my pain, meaning the moment they stopped working, I was going to find myself in a world of pain. Daenerys POV. I had to stop Ronard from making a terrible mistake. I had to stop him. That alone was the sole reason I was flying with Crow and Regal to the wall. We were but a few minutes away, a few minutes of torture. "I will kill Dad if he did what the Red Weird Lady said," Crow hissed. "I really hope nothing happens," Regal hissed back quietly. I couldn't understand them, but I knew they were as worried as me. That much was certain. I continued to dodge the endless assault aimed at me, struggling to dodge each attack. My stupidity had been my own outdoing. The Night King had the terrain advantage on this duel. His ice powers were feeding off the terrain, making his attacks exponentially stronger than they were supposed to be. Each attack was stronger than the last, leaving a trail of destruction behind. I had no idea for how long I would be able to continue dodging. I knew that I had to retreat. It was more than obvious that if I stayed fighting on his domain, I would die, and dying was no option. "Having problems?" the dark, echoing voice of the Night King asked, as he continued his deadly assault. "Not at all," I answered, as I dodged a spike of ice that was about to pierce my leg. "This is nothing but a good workout," I lied. The strain I had been until now putting on my muscle was starting to show. My arms and legs were screaming in pain, agony. I had never worked them out to such extent, and the worst part was that if I was feeling pain, it meant the runes were starting to go off, and the moment that boost I had gained thanks to the runes disappeared, I would with certainty die. The wall was around 1.5 miles away, meaning that if I took a run for it, I would be able to reach the wall within the minute. That was, of course, taking into consideration the current physical boost the runes were giving me. Dodging 3 spikes, all aimed at my vitals, I blasted towards the wall, deciding I had all the information about the Night King I needed and a general idea of how to defeat him. Staying any longer was not a good idea. Going back so soon? The Night King asked, speeding up his attacks. You can't leave the party yet. Creepy bastard. I'll invite to my own party later. For now, damn you. The closer I got to the wall, the slower my movements got. Little by little, the shining rune in my hand started to glow less and less, and the pain that it was holding started to spread, invading every corner of my body. This sudden decline of physical prowess allowed the Night King to start connecting attacks that I was now barely dodging, making sure no vital areas were struck, but that didn't mean getting pierced in the legs, arms, and other parts of my body was not painful. Feeling a bit down, I looked at the Night King, who was walking towards me with an evil grin. He was enjoying my suffering, at least before he became this asshole. He was just following his purpose. He wasn't truly evil before. Now he was. Damn you. I spat as I struggled to stand up, cursing my situation. I was but a few dozen meters from the wall. So close, yet so far away. I told you, didn't I? I cannot be defeated. Would you stop sucking your own schlong? I swear. I can hear you gag every time you talk about how great you are. I sighed as I held my sword ready to fight, though the pain coursing through my body was making this simple task a living hell. It took a few minutes for the monster to be in front of me. Minutes I dragged my almost limp body closer to the wall, while keeping an eye on him, but now he was standing in front of me, holding his blade, about to strike me down. You fought well, Ronard, but I was beyond your human chance. With that, the monster brought the sword down, covering the snow with my blood. So this was it, truly pathetic, everything I did. And it was for nothing. I died by the edge of my own arrogance. No. Daenerys POV. 10 minutes earlier, I was so close to the wall. In a few minutes I would be there to save Ronard. Alongside me my dragons, and the red which that Regal had decided to pick up after going back for her. I feel his fire, and the cold, close to him, Melisandre muttered, shaking in cold. The cold is overpowering his fire, freezing his flames. In the distance I could see Neltharion, on the edge of the wall, and while I couldn't understand him, I knew he was shaking for his father. Where is my husband? I shouted as I landed on the wall, with my dragons. Where? I shouted once again, turning around, to see Ronard practically dragging himself to the wall, limping his way to the wall, to me. Inches behind him, the monster that had been haunting our lives, the culprit behind our current suffering, the Night King, with his sword raised and an evil smirk, directed at us, just before he brought his blade down on Ronard. Ronard's blood splattering everywhere. Nuu! I cried as Regal, Crow, and Neltharion roared in pain, as they all descended to the other side of the wall, making a triangle of fire around his father. I will kill you. I shouted in hate, as I held Ronard's body close to me. I won't stop until you are dead. I have bested your champion. Enjoy your last month of living. The creature said, ignoring our pain. I will end you. Neltharion roared, shattering the ice-cold floor beneath his claws. Melisandre POV. Ronard was not alive and not dead. He was between the two worlds. I could feel it. The fire within him was weak, but it was there. There has to be something you can do, please, Daenerys cried. I don't care the price. I better than anyone understood her pain. I have already asked the Lord to bring him back. Now all we have to do is wait. For once, I begged my God with all my heart. As I saw Ronard's broken body, all we can do is wait. Ronard Mormont POV, darkness. What a stupid end. I died, and I didn't even make my demise worth something. No. Damn this. I refuse to die. Got a freaking nothing. Bring me back. I will, That was fast and anticlimactic. Thanks, you acted rash. You let him win. You were stupid. I was. There was no point of denying it. I was overconfident, and this was the price. But so was the Night King. For as long as an ember remains, the fire will always come back. Stronger than before, time was quite the little thing. Without anything but darkness around, it was impossible to know time. So here I was, feeling like I was floating in a void of emptiness, devoid of anything, not knowing how long had it passed since I formally died for a second time. I was breaking records. I had died twice in a lifetime. Not many people can boast about that. At the very least, the asshole I have for a god decided to resurrect me. Probably because I still have the rip-off of the Lich King to defeat. Not that I complained. I loved living. And if the excuse for me to live again was to murder that asshole, I was freaking in. But while I was happy, I was coming back. I was scared, not of the challenge the Night King represented. Still, the cost of resurrecting, in the books, every person that was brought back to life lost something, a part of them. Caitlin Stark lost all her memories and humanity. Thuris was but a fragmented human, walking without purpose, and John felt empty, as if something he didn't know was missing. And I couldn't help but wonder, what would my price be? I knew the time of death had something to do with it. But still, I couldn't help but ponder over the thought. A price. I muttered in the void. Yes, a price. It's the natural order of things. You are rather talkative now. It was odd to see this bastard being so responsive. You are in my domain. Reaching you here is fairly simple. I suppose that made sense. But still, damn that guy. So a price. Every time a fire starts, fuel is needed to do so. Fire can't exist without a source to feed off, and my original source is gone? I inquired. Yes, but no, your case is complicated. Your life force. Your fire is intriguingly big, but yes, you are right now. Indeed dead. So I will lose something. I can't believe that after all the shit I had been through. I made a scion move. I went into battle without a strategy. Not much, thanks to the priestess fast action. Mental note. Thank Melisandre. But it will be something you will forever feel missing, and you may never know what. Well, who knows? Perhaps this resurrection will take all embarrassing memories out of my head. Wouldn't that be convenient? I laughed. You are about to wake up. Don't fail next time, champion. I won't. And damn you, he's waking up. I slowly opened my eyes and immediately noticed something was wrong. My right eye fell off. The why? I couldn't put my finger on it. Ronard, Daenerys cried, hugging the ever-living crap out of me, and yet I felt somewhat numb. At first, I got scared this resurrection had taken my feelings, but I knew I still loved her, so I concluded I was just numb for now to say something. Is he okay? Please don't make me break those walls. Crow roared from the outside. He has to be okay. If he isn't, I kill him myself. Neltharion hissed. I will burn every single one of them. I will burn them all. Regal muttered. I feel odd, I muttered as I clumsily reciprocated Daenerys' affections. What's the damage? I asked, wondering if my body had any permanent damage to it. You lost an eye and have some permanent scars in your chest and back. Melisandre was the first one to answer. But your eye? I lost a... What? I asked, but I can see just fine. I tried closing one eye, and then the other, and yeah, I was able to see. Yeah, I can see. Well, I was about to get there. The Lord not only restored your life, but your eye, Melisandre explained. Can I have a mirror? I asked as I brushed the crying Daenerys that had buried her head on my chest, wanting to hear every beat of my heart. Sure, Melisandre nodded, giving me her mirror, and what I saw was unique. I had a scar that looked like the one Kakashi from Naruto had, but a tad smaller, in my eye. Well, it was awesome. It was like seeing a fireplace. I mean, the white part of the eye was still white, but the part that was supposed to be colored, well, that shit looked like it was on fire. Neat. I hear him. Neltharion roared in excitement. You really have to get out. Those 3 dragons have been outside for 2 days, Nick Fury cawed, and next time you try to pull that shit off, I will fight you, bastard. he added jokingly. And lose. I chuckled. I never said I would win. Nick Fury shrugged. You are really here. Daenerys cried, sobbing in my chest. I can't. I dash, she muttered as she took a step back to better look at me. Are you really here? At my nod, she gave me a slap, which woke me a bit more. Don't you ever do something like that again. Don't ever break your promises again. I promised her that I would never die. This was probably the most well-deserved slap ever, and I was getting off the hook quite easily. I know what you're thinking. I'm getting off the hook easily. Well, think twice. Neltharion growled with excitement. I will kick your ass, old man, and my brothers will help. I'm sorry. I never wanted to die, I said, looking straight into her beautiful eyes. How does it feel? Melisandre inquired. Being dead was odd. I felt like my body was floating in an endless sea of darkness. I answered as I took a deep breath. Being alive again, odd too. I feel numb for now, like confused with all. It's weird. Did you find it? Daenerys inquired. Melisandre told me. You fought the monster to find its weakest, so did you? No, but I found his strengths, which is equally helpful. I sighed. On a terrain with ice, like beyond the wall, he holds a great firepower, but his real power is the connection he has to his minions. He can see what they see all the time, meaning attacking him is near impossible. If he has an army around him, can you defeat him if you fight him one-on-one? Melisandre asked. Most definitely. With his army and terrain, he is above me, but in solo combat, I am better. I nodded. He was only able to outmatch me so bad because I dueled him on his own terrain, under his own rules. Had I known he shared a field of vision with hundreds of thousands, I would have never accepted the duel. So to defeat that abomination, we have to cut his eyes, one by one, Melisandre concluded, with a very dark tone. That's the idea. I nodded as a yawn escaped my lips. I need a nap. I feel exhausted. I will fetch someone to carry you to a bed big enough for the both of us, Daenerys said, tears still rolling down her beautiful face. No need. Just lead the way, I said as I passionately kissed her, and it felt amazing, reconfirming the fact I still had my emotions. Perhaps I lost something insignificant after all. I was once again alive. It was a confusing thought to say something. Everything felt so surreal. Like I was moving through the motions. Perhaps it had been the shock of dying, or that the God that resurrected me this time was vastly inferior to the one that sent me here. Who knows? I know I didn't. Besides, everything was fine. My body moved the same way. Maybe a bit faster, but I didn't think it had to do anything with the Lord of Light. I was certain this boost was thanks to the runes of the left hand of God activating for the first time completely. Are you feeling okay? Neltharion hissed in concern as I walked around the edge of the wall. I looked at him and sighed. I actually feel too good. I'm not even stressed out. If the Lord took my stress out, then it was hardly a price. I chuckled, wondering why was I currently so calm. I see. Well, I'm off to hunt. Take care, Dad, Neltharion purred, as he nuzzled my chest with his head, something that had yet to fail warming my heart. Enjoy. I kissed his forehead before seeing him fly away. Any ideas on how to fight the army? Daenerys inquired, making me turn around to see she was walking towards me. We know how to fight their king, but how are we supposed to deal with his army? A very good question. He had a massive army, and I had to plan my moves carefully. And I had but a month to plan, thanks to Leaf. Though, everyone was here thanks to her. So damn you, Leaf. We exploit their weaknesses. First we have to outsmart them. Which is not hard, considering they all collectively share one mind, his mind. Meaning if he's distracted, so are they. Without his constant control, I'm sure his army would become nothing but a bunch of savages, feral animals if you may. I see. Daenerys nodded in understanding. Long-range fights should also prove beneficial for us, and things along those lines. I added, and for formations, well, we had planned to fight as a united front, but we have to avoid being all together. Thanks to the dragon, the asshole beyond the wall resurrected, while the asshole number 2, aka the third eye raven, told me nothing. I sighed. Well, you can count on me. Daenerys offered with a smile, making me feel uncomfortable imagining her on a battlefield. I won't take a no for an answer. You died, and showed me how unprepared my heart was to lose you. I won't let that happen again, she added, seeing my face. I sighed as I looked at her, her face covered with one emotion, total determination. Very well, but you won't be in the heat of battle. The most I can allow is the range division. I smiled. Besides, I think it fits you. I don't think I've seen archers manage a bow like you. Flattering. Daenerys smiled. But I suppose you were right. It's the only active role I can fill, that in mounting the dragons. But I'm sure you have others plans for our sons. I do. I nodded. While the idea of her riding one of our sons into battle was truly poetic, I wanted to have my son as trash cleaners. Their flame power combined was able to kill thousands of them in a matter of seconds, and realistically, they were the only ones capable of fighting them and or stalling the massive undead dragon the undead king had. Very well, like always I will trust you. Daenerys sighed, seeing the enemy's army standing hundreds of meters away from the wall, so far away yet so near. I think I have an idea. What? I asked with curiosity. Let's use catapults to start attacking them right now. We have a month to plan. They don't. Daenerys explained, somewhat excited. Catapults. What a nice idea. Perhaps they were a bit too far away, but it couldn't hurt. I say. Carry on. Wait. What if? What if I also plague the ice beneath them with broken pieces of dragonglass? I think I have an idea. I smirked as I explained my idea. I think it might work. That could potentially slow them. And if we are lucky, kill some. Daenerys said. The biggest problem right now is that thing. She pointed at the enormous beast. And to be honest, I had no idea how to kill something so big, which is why I was going to have my sons to stall him, at least long enough for me to kill the Lich. Neltharion Mormont Ravenicus Targaryen I, POV, while father had yet to discuss with my siblings and I our role in this upcoming battle. I knew what he was going to ask us, for only us could take on such a task of trying to kill that massive monster that once was a majestic dragon. Not to sound negative, but I don't think we stand much of a chance, Crow hissed, and he was right. By size alone, that beast was the mountain of dragons, while we were at much average-sized guys. In human terms, there was no doubt in my mind he was superior in every single aspect, but even then, we would not fail. Like father says, when brawn doesn't work, use more brawn. If that doesn't work, try once again. And if you still failed, well, that's because you are not using your brain. We have to outsmart the beast. Any idea? I inquired. He is big, but he can't fly, meaning we have the speed advantage, but we lack the firepower to terminate him. Regal muttered deep in thought. If only we were fully grown. That's it. He added with an excited hiss. What? I asked. We are still teens by dragon standards. We can't match him. Regal laughed. Wow, your grasp of the obvious is outstanding, Crow muttered. Don't you see? We don't have to beat him. We only have to lead him to someone that can. Regal hissed. We are not the strongest creatures in Father's army. Crow and I shared a look, as we both muttered under the same time. The Krakens, all of them together, should be more than enough to kill the bastard. Crow hissed in excitement. Very well. Now let's discuss how we are going to move him close enough to the water. Ned Stark POV, Ronard, my king, and apparently the queen, somehow, were on the wall. If it was for me, they wouldn't be near there, but I knew Ronard. He always had his reasons, and I couldn't do anything but trust them. Take care of your mother, brother, and sisters, Bran. I smiled, hugging my son. I am a man. I should be here fighting. Bran complained. You are fighting a different battle, a different war altogether. I sighed. You have to be strong for them. If Robb and I don't come back, you'll be the lord of the house, and you will have to take care of them. I hugged him once again. Do you understand? Yes, Bran nodded, trying to hide the fact that he was crying. Promise me. You will come back. I will try. Now go. I ordered with tears forming up in my eyes. There was no guarantee I was going to live through this, Ronard himself said. There was a big chance he himself would die, meaning this was beyond anything I was capable of preparing for. They will be safe in King's Landing, a lord commented. If we fall, no one will. The morning of the day after my resurrection had dawned clear and cold, with winter chill screaming the end of an era. Daenerys and I went out at dawn to talk to Ned Stark, with Melisandre flying among us riding Crow. I was strangely calm, too calm. Perhaps what I had lost in the resurrection were my emotional attachments to my problems. Who knows? Our mission was simple. We had to change our angle of attack. We had to fight this battle intelligently. One mistake would bring about the end of the world as we knew it. It took us an hour to fly to Winterfell, proving once again that my sons were the fastest method of transportation in the world today. Ned was currently commanding the northern troops for the coming battle, his breath smoking. In the cold morning air as his son and nephew helped him. Robb and Jon were doing other things, helping their father with the logistics needed for the upcoming battle. With a sigh, I saw how as we landed, the weak wind of our landing blew through the army, causing the Stark's banner to flutter. A gray wolf running across an ice-white field. Poetic, so much so that I wondered how many would die after this. Ned looked at us solemnly with a look full of joy and concern, his long brown hair moving in the wind. My king, Ned knelt in greeting. You got here just in time to see a deserter being executed. Ned sighed sadly. A traitor? Well, in the end, it was inevitable. Only an imbecile would not fear an imminent death. In the name of Ronard of the House Mormont, the first of his name, King of the Undulls, King of Essos and the First Men, Lord of the Seven Kingdoms and Protector of the Realm, I, Eddard of the House Stark, Lord of Winterfell and Guardian of the North, sentence you to die, Ned said, raising his greatsword high above his head. And with one cut, Ned took the man's head. Blood splashed through the snow, as red as the wine of Dorne. The head rolled in the snow to my feet, leaving a trail of blood behind. With a sigh, I used my flames to burn the head, noticing that my fire had changed. My flames were no longer red. They were blue. Impressive, Robb mumbled. My fire was blue now, but why? Any news? Ned asked, his eyes full of concern. I looked at the man. No, everything is still the same for the most part, I answered. Our situation is the same. Ned sighed. I see. We have to change our approach, I said after a few seconds of silence. We won't win if we fight like we had originally intended. We need to bring the battle to our own arena. Robb looked at me and said, how are we supposed to do that? Well, that is what we need to figure out, I answered. As I gestured to my council, I wanted to talk about our strategy and price. His fire was hotter. His eyes were colder. What price did he pay to come back? What did my lord took from him to reignite his fire? What part of him did he lost that he was now so terrifying? Your husband, he is not the same, I said, knowing full well Daenerys could order her dragons to kill me if I said the wrong words. I know, Daenerys acknowledged, much to my surprise, but no matter how different he is still my Ronard. Love, the brightness flame of all, one that if properly made, never runs out. I see. It was all I could say. He still sees me with love. I can still feel his passion on every touch he gives me, Daenerys said. Yet, he feels colder, devoid of care to anything but me and the kids. It's different. I will try and ask my lord for guidance on this matter. But would my lord listen to me? After I had failed to keep Ronard safe, after I had failed so many times to read his word. Let's see if he actually answers this time, Daenerys scoffed. I couldn't really blame her. My god was known for avoiding even its most loyal servants, with Ronard being the one he had talked to the most, and Ronard hates him. One can only wish. Oberyn POV, I was but a month away from Winterfell, and yet the cold chilling wind of winter was already freezing me. Lands never touched by the ire of winter were now suffering under its mighty wrath, a truly terrifying sight to behold. Many would die of cold and starvation during this war, and even more would die from ratings. Times like this, I was happy to not have a crown on my head, though, as Ronard's friend, I feel sorry for him. The economic political terror he will have to deal with when all of this is over will probably make him reconsider his life choices. Well, I suppose I can always make his life a bit easier, helping him rebuild the broken kingdom he has to rule. After all, that's what friends are for. My daughters will hate me for it, staying in King's Landing, but a few trips to the weapon market and the poison district will fix that. Sometimes I wonder, is it stupid to be best friends with someone young enough to be my son? Nah, I'm just awesome. Stop praising yourself, Obara chuckled. I did not. Well, that was creepy. I can see your face. Is the same one you always use when selling yourself to others as the best warrior in the world, Obara giggled. So I can only assume you were mentally praising yourself. The pains of having people knowing every little detail about you. Well, I suppose, but I'm very praisable, so let me spoil myself. Very well, Obara shrugged. Haha. I chuckled, wondering what kind of hell was waiting for me, and if I was even going to be able to help Ronard in the end. After all, a dead man can't help nobody. I suppose only time will tell. Olena Tyrell POV, even from here. I could feel the ominous winds of the north blowing, my old bones creaking with pain, and for the first time in my long, long life, I felt the embrace of death near. I think we should let the king face this threat alone. And after the battle, we can take the crown from his head, Mace offered. With a grin, we would get it all, be silent, and listen. I glared at my son with anger. You will help the king with all your might, and you will do it till your last breath, I commanded. I am the Lord. Mace snapped, infuriated with my answer. And yet, I hold all the power. I snapped my finger, and the 2 soldiers he had brought with him to my room pinned him down. I don't like the king, nor he likes me, but I do admire his skill, and whether we like it or not, we need him to win whatever is beyond that wall. I am your son. Mace cried in anger. Unfortunately, I nodded with a weak smile. Know that I do this for our legacy. No, that doesn't matter anymore. I do this for the one thing that matters. No, survival. Mother? Mace knew deep down what was going to happen. I am your son. Don't you love me? I do, but I love Marjorie and Loras more, I answered as the soldiers forced him to drink the lily poison I had bought from Oberyn. We are old, son. We have to leave the games for the newest generation. I said the last part with tears rolling down my eyes. You did your part. Now it's time I do mine. For a better tomorrow, the lowest thing a mother could do, kill her own son. But what other choice did I have? I needed this house to cooperate with Ronard, at least for this war. I needed everyone to be at his service. And Mace was an idiot with the idea of being a king. And once that idea is in someone's head, well, you can't stop it. Put him on his bed. He needs to be found. I ordered the men. I need a few minutes alone. Don't worry, Mace. I will soon join whatever hell you ended up. I knew for certain my days were numbered after all. I talked for hours with Ned about how we had to handle the upcoming situation at hand. We had to debilitate the enemy before clashing with them slowly. They outnumbered us, meaning one mistake could prove to be catastrophic for our cause. We also had to focus on certain objectives first. For one, we had to deal with the dragon the enemy forces had. That monster alone was able to take on my army. Fortunately for everyone, my sons had a plan. They would fight the dragon and lure him into the sea, where the krakens would destroy the beast. A dragon might be the strongest creature overall, but a kraken is unmatched on the water, making their idea the best path to destroy that beast. Neltharion, Crow, and Regal will focus on the dragon, I stated once again. Meanwhile, we will use the wildfire to slow them down. We must delay the real fight for as long as we can. I already have all the archers ready with fire posts near them, Rob said. All our arrows are with dragon glass to maximize the damage. Good, I said. We also have some dragon glass bombs, John added. I think it is best if we have your ravens dropping them in their lines. He finished showing me the small bombs that were the size of a baseball ball. How do you ignite them? I inquired with curiosity. The alchemist said that they explode upon impact. I don't know the exact science behind it, John explained. We already tried them, and they work as intended. Very well, I nodded. I will have the ravens know about this. Already on it. Nick Fury caught beside me. We still have more than enough wildfire to make more traps, Ned said. Wildfire, quite the useful thing. We will use all of the remaining fire to keep the enemy lines at bay. I sighed. We have to even the playing field for when we clash. Our entire army is armed with dragonglass weapons, or enchanted ones thanks to the Red Witch. Rob said. We have yet to try if they work. I said deep in thought, but I trust her. Sorry if it sounds bad, but What happened to your eye? John asked, looking at my new flashy eye. I died, I answered, without skipping a beat. What? Ned said after a long pause of silence. I fought the Night King one-on-one and lost. I shrugged. I was brought back to life though, so not a big deal. How can you freaking say that? Ned shouted. Ned cursing. Well, that's a new one. Ned, while I appreciate your concern, do I need to remind you who is the king here? I asked with a faint smile. You are the king, but for that same reason, you need to stop thinking your life belongs only to you. Ned countered, his resolve unwavered by my previous statement. I suppose, I shrugged. I learned my lesson and know the enemy's strengths. I'm here, so please stop yelling and wasting everyone's time, I sighed. How did you come back to life? Rob asked. The Red Witch prayed to her god, and here I am. I chuckled. I can't die. Not until I kill the Night King. I will forever be in a prison of bone and flesh until I finish the mission forced upon me. Was he that strong? John asked with worry. Not really. I hummed. He just outclassed me in one area. In everything else, I was superior. What? Ned inquired, clearly still angry. Battle awareness, I answered. He sees what his minions see. Meaning I was fighting someone with more than 1,000 eyes. I chuckled. He had no blind spots and had more than enough visual information to counter my every move. That's why we have to spread them, Ned realized. Otherwise, you would lose again. To be honest with you, I smiled. I don't think he would crush me as he did before. Now that I know how he fights, I can at least fight on equal ground, but I doubt I will be able to kill him. I hummed. It would be more like an endless battle this time. If he dies, all of his armies die with him, right? John asked. Yes, I answered, wishing that was still the same. Then, we will put our lives in the fire for you, Ned stated. If all you need is to fight him without his minions around, we will make it happen. I looked at Ned with a faint smile. I'm counting on you then. Neltharion Mormont Ravenicus Targaryen POV. Father was different since he woke up. His entire aura was different. He smelled dangerous now, as if a wild beast that had lived in chains for all his life was now finally free. I knew he still loved us. I knew he wasn't dangerous for any of us, but the change was troubling. His fire felt like it could burn me, and that was not normal. I wonder if this is the price for being alive once again. No matter what, he's still our dad, Crow stated, with a low hiss. I know, Regal nodded. Whatever he lost, we have to help him take it back, I stated, with determination. We are also creatures of fire, so that God has to hear us. Crow roared in agreement. Maybe we can all share the price? Regal added. We can all pay with Father. Yes, perhaps Daenerys POV. While Ronard was taking care of the army, I was making sure all our army was in the north on time. We had the need for every person able to hold a sword and kill. This was not a war for the throne, but for surviving. I can contact all the priests and priestess in Essos, Melisandre offered. All of us together fighting for the same cause would prove to be a force to be reckoned with. It would take them months to arrive. I sighed. But send them a message nonetheless. I already did, Melisandre said. I contacted them a month and a half ago, and if they are as loyal to the Lord as for me, they will be here. A man has its doubts. A woman chuckled behind us. Those priests and priestess are pretty. Selfish, not all of them, but a great part of them. What do you want, faceless? I rolled my eyes in annoyance. A man is here to help, the faceless man said as he took his face out, revealing a man around his 40s. A man needs this world as much as you do. Then help. Being cryptic is useless, Melisandre scoffed. A man will. The faceless man smiled as he pulled a blade from a box behind him. And it wasn't any blade. It was none other than Lightbringer, the sword Melisandre had mistakenly given to Stannis, the sword that belonged to the champion of light, as she described. This blade belonged to your champion, Valyrian steel blessed with the ancestral fire. This is the most lethal thing for the others in this world. It is. Melisandre nodded with an awestruck expression. Will this help Ronard win? I asked. This sword is capable of cutting through steel like butter. The faceless man nodded. It was meant to be wielded by him. But that's no the only sword I have retrieved. What do you mean? Melisandre asked as the man smiled, pulling another blade from the cage. "Dawn," I muttered. "A man believes some people will be angry, but a man doesn't care," the faceless chuckled. After a few days of preparation, we were almost ready to face the challenge ahead. And I say almost because you can't ever be truly ready for a battle. Things can and possibly always will go wrong. My plan was simple. We had to abandon the North, but not in the absolute sense. After all, I had already evacuated everyone, besides the few stubborn people that refused to go, but that was on them. I was not going to force the little people to obey if they wanted to die. Well, who was I to stop them? Abandoning the North was just part of an elaborated scheme to lead the Night King's troops to where I wanted. In war, the location can win you the battle or destroy you. And with the numbers the Night King has on his side, well, I had no other choice but to rule the environment in my favor, which is why I'm going to be waiting for him close to the bay that way. My sons will be able to lure the dragon into the water with more ease having the Krakens finish the monster. Not only that, but the Krakens could also help from underwater throwing boulders and stuff to the enemies. This was war, and I had to use every asset I had to its utmost potential. Each and every single one of my animals was ready to fight and had a role in this fight. From ravens to hawks, my birds were all going to drop bombs within the enemy lines, though not all my animals had a way to permanently kill one of those things. They had other orders, like destroy the legs, arms, and head of the undead without it. They can't move, and while still active, they can't act. "We have sent all the traps. We are ready," Ned said. Traps, the holy grail of this war, if anyone thought I was going to fight the Night King without debilitating his forces. Well, if someone did, they were wrong. I had practically covered the North with wildfire mines and bombs. Their tasks were simple enough: weaken the undead army. I had small bombs everywhere, but my most lethal trap was on the beach. I had a rather dark plan if things didn't go as planned, which is why I had turned the beach into a possible gate of hell with the amount of wildfire hidden. My plan B was to set the entire beach on fire on a wild explosion of green fire that would not only take my army out, but every undead with them in a 3-mile radius. Needless to say, this was my last resort to weaken his army. Though I had to be honest, I was impressed when Ned agreed. It was unexpected. Not that I needed his approval, but he still agreed, saying this was not a war that we could win with honor. Yeah, Ned Stark is okay with fighting the undead without honor. I'm proud of him, I am. Good. Have all the archers ready, I said. We will depend on them more than ever during this fight. 1 week. We had 1 week before the shit started. 1 week to see if my presence here helped or destroyed this world. Daenerys POV, Dawn, and Lightbringer, the two most famous swords in the world. The two swords I was flying to Ronard. These blades should give him an edge, Melisandre stated, beside me. One blade was blessed by the god of light, and the other by the stars. Even now, both of them are hot. Their steel never goes cold. Legends say Dawn was forged from a fallen star. I commented. What about Lightbringer? I inquired. Valyrian steel blessed by my god, Melisandre answered. Ronard Mormont POV. My ravens had recently informed me that Daenerys and Melisandre were coming my way with Crow, and with 2 legendary blades, Dawn and Lightbringer. And, well, I was a tad surprised. How in the hell did they get their hands on those 2 blades? Not that I complained. Those 2 babies were leagues above long law. But still, I was surprised. Daenerys will arrive within a few hours, I said, getting Ned, Jon, and Rob's attention. Why is she coming here? This will soon be a war zone, Rob inquired. Well, first of all, she's the queen, and she can come and go as she pleases, I chuckled. And she's bringing me some tools to better improve our chances. What tools? Ned inquired with curiosity. Oh, well, I hummed. Dawn and Lightbringer. As soon as those words left my mouth, the chaos started. How did she manage to get Dawn? Ned asked in shocked. That, I don't know. Oberyn Martell POV. I was finally in the North. And this damn cold was making me regret ever coming here in the first place. It was literally freezing my balls off. I'm literally getting an icicle down there, Tyene said while trembling with cold. Stop thinking of Ronard then. Nymeria hissed. Never. Good God, why couldn't this fight be in a warmer place? The freaking demon had to be a cold one. Let's go, girls. We are a few hours away from where the king is, but I suppose things don't always go as one would want. Do you think we will survive? Obara asked, looking at me. I'm just curious. I don't know. I answered honestly, but we do what we must. I know, Obara sighed. My daughters were afraid. Not that I blamed them. I was afraid too. And if there was a God willing to hear I pray up there, all I asked said God was if I were to die, that our lives help this cause for our lives to mean something. I didn't want to die if my life meant nothing in the end. I wanted to win this war. Let's go, my little snake. We have a king to serve and a war to win. I patted her head with all my fatherly affection. Yes, father. Jon Targaryen POV, the door in the Winter Hall of Winterfell opened, and I turned to check and see if it was Ronard. Instead, it was Oberyn. Hey, Oberyn gave a chuckle at that. Good to see you too, Johnny. Sighing at that, I deflated back into my chair. With a low chuckle, I smiled. Sorry, I just really need to talk to Ronard. I told Oberyn. Well, I'll do, John, but he has to prepare for this more than any of us, Oberyn sighed. I know, I sighed. Daenerys POV, it was a grim sight looking from the skies while mounting Crow. On a beautiful day like today, nice and bright, it made it impossible to miss the approaching hordes of undead, little by little approaching. The explosion of the wall barely slowed them down, and the traps Ned had set barely lowered their numbers. It was a terrifying sight to behold. Tell Ronard the undead forces are moving towards us. I ordered one of the ravens flying beside me. Watching the enemy get closer made me feel a sense of uneasiness that I couldn't get rid of. Ronard had already lost once to the monster we were facing, and there was no guarantee it wouldn't happen again. But I had to trust in him, on the king I was unequivocally in love with, my husband. From afar, the undead giants and massive winter spiders were easily spotted thanks to the spyglass Ronard had given me to check on the enemy forces. But among them, one stood out the most, the frightening undead dragon. Ronard was right. The one real threat besides the Night King was the massive dragon that dwarfed most of the army in front of it. Skeletal and falling apart, it looked to be more dead than the living, probably incapable of flying, but his size alone was more than enough to wipe armies off the face of the earth. And I couldn't help but watch in horror as it approached and challenged with his size the biggest buildings I had seen in my life. It pained me to see the sigil of my house being used in such a humiliating manner. No dragon should be forced to obey. Yet, for me, that wasn't the worst part. The horde of undead soldiers and undead animals weren't as terrifying as what was mounting the dragon. The children of the forest, hundreds of them, each and every single one of them on the dragon's back. Ronard didn't care much for them, but they were responsible for making the monster we were facing, and for me, they were possibly the most dangerous. From above, the undead army, decaying creatures flew in the air, eagles, ravens, and any other animal I could possibly think of with the ability to fly. Well, I had enough information for now. Let's fly back to Ronard, I ordered Crow, who hissed lowly in approval. A few hours later, I arrived back to where Ronard was. As I landed, I saw my husband, my king planning strategies. He had barely slept during these last few days, planning, thinking, innovating ways to win this. Honey, Ronard greeted with a tired smile. My son, I greeted back with a smile of my own. What do you think? Ronard asked me. Our attempts to dwarf his army barely had any effects. I replied with a heavy heart. The wall and the explosion barely did anything to the army. They keep advancing, slowly. Maybe to show how futile is everything we do. How many? Ronard asked after a few seconds of silence. Several 100,000, close to 1 million, at least. I've never seen an army so large before. I replied. Daenerys, I know you may not like what I'm about to say, but I cannot allow you to stay here if that's the case, Ronard stated. Allow me? I asked back indignantly. I know he wants to protect me, but he isn't the only one with things on the line. Do not forget my titles and position, Ronard. I am the Queen of Essos and Westeros, the Mother of Dragons, co-ruler of the known world, and the mother of your children. You do not allow me to do anything, not this time. I know, Ronard said after a long moment of silence, giving me a worried look. But this time, I'm afraid this isn't about me being overprotective or about our titles. This is about me being afraid of losing you and this war, among other things. If the tide becomes hopeless, should I fall, my burden, the task to save this world will be yours to bear until my children are old enough to fight back. Only you and my children can handle the burden I am asking you to take. Placing his hands on my cheeks, he smiled with tears running down his eyes. I love you. Remember that. Before I could even articulate an answer to that, Ned Stark approached us. Your Highnesses, Ned, any news? Ronard asked. Every man and woman old enough to fight are ready. Ned nodded. Ronard was about to reply something, but stopped, throwing a torrent of blue fire in a seemingly random direction. You're alive. Intriguing. A raven, decayed a broken, flew around, landing on a table close by. What do you want? Ronard asked bitterly. I came here to offer peace, the undead raven possessed by the Night King said. The words left my mouth in disbelief. Peace, I said, almost hissing the words out. What kind of stupid you think we are? Ned growled, holding his Valyrian blade ice ready to strike. The undead raven laughed. As your wife has no doubt seen, I have you outnumbered. Rather drastically, I might add. Not only that, but my forces are drastically more powerful than yours, and just to add the cherry on top of the cake, this winter zone is my territory. All your attempts to stop me have proved to be ineffective. So here is my offer. Give up your... The raven didn't manage to complete whatever he was about to offer, for Ronard had burned him to a crisp with a wild torrent of blue fire. The thing I hate the most about that bastard is the bragging, Ronard growled. How did he manage to get here? Don't your ravens have an eye on anything in the skies? Ned inquired with worry. He probably used one of my ravens. He killed a few during a scouting mission, Ronard replied with a frown, as if he was hiding something from me. But what? Night King POV. Ronard was alive and didn't accept my generous offer of a quick death and no undead revival I wanted to offer, but it mattered little in the great scheme of things. He was but an ant playing with the unavoidable depths of death. If we continue at this pace, we will be on Winterfell in a fortnight, one of my free-minded undead spoke. We have no need to hurry. The more we take to approach, the more we take to arrive, the more terror we will inflict upon their fragile hearts, I stated with delight. No, let us. I was cut off as me and all of my generals looked up, every single one of us feeling the immense surge of heat directly above our heads. Oak, my children of the forest, dived towards me and wrapped me in a shield of magic. My other generals tried to run away, while some decided to do their best to block the incoming attack. I felt the ground shake. Even from inside Oak's magic protection, I could see the blinding green light that erupted from the sky near the middle of my forces. Not soon after, a loud boom rang, as I felt thousands of my minions vanish from existence. Once the rumbling sound of the explosion died down, Oak broke the magic shield around me. Green fire was all around. Burning bright, the explosion had left nothing in its wake but smoke, fire, dust, and death. Once again, I felt the same feeling invading the area, but this time targeting another point of my army. An explosion of the same magnitude followed, and hundreds of dragon glass shards flew in every direction. And like before, I felt thousands of my minions died for good this time. What was this madness? A weapon so powerful it could be fired multiple times in such a manner. And how did Ronard manage to hide this from me? We have to move fast. If Ronard has more of that dangerous weapon, things could go wrong with me. Just 2 shots of that explosive, and I had already lost close to 200,000 soldiers. And many generals. Ronard POV. 2 hours earlier, I knew the Night King was approaching, and that he would not let the opportunity to brag about his mighty undead D go by. But in case he didn't, I had sent Daenerys to check on his army from afar. I wanted to tempt him, to tempt his overgrown pride. I knew for a fact he was not going to attack Daenerys, not that he could. My plan had in mind having her safe and far away from him, but regardless of that, he was not going to attack. He wanted to delay our suffering, for his own twisted pleasure, with his attention on me and my wife. I would send my ravens and hawks, carrying my 2 latest inventions, the wildfire nukes. They were so volatile that it was a bet to use them, but they were worth it. With the help of Melisandre that blessed the mix and a couple of maesters, we made the deadly liquid, using wildfire as a base. This plan was mine alone, and no one but me knew about it, as to avoid people showing overconfidence about it. My ravens and hawks would fly high above the sky and wait, dropping the bombs just in the right moment. Unfortunately, this explosive weapon was hard to make, and I only had 4 shots with this, 2 for now and 2 for a very specific situation. Are you ready? I asked Nick Fury. Yes, Nick caught. 2 massive explosions of green light had descended from the sky into the enemy forces a few hours ago. Almost like the gods themselves had smitten the unholy creature coming our way, but I knew better than to believe that. The gods were a bunch of assholes. However, the fact remained that whatever it was, it hit the enemy lines hard enough for everyone to hear from this distance, meaning Ronard had done something. The door behind opened. Ronar dash. I started to see it was Oberyn who was coming. Well, twice in a day. Oberyn chuckled. Not quite. Oberyn, I sighed. Oberyn chuckled as he gave a curt nod. The very same, unique and irreplaceable Oberyn Martell. Is there anything you need? I asked. Not really. Trying to keep my mind occupied with the fact we might all die, Oberyn sighed. We will die fighting if that's our destiny, I stated. That's the plan, Oberyn chuckled. Though, I like to believe Ronard will win. You know, with his crazy luck. That's what we are all believing. I smiled. Where's Ronard, by the way? Oberyn asked me. I don't know, I answered. I do, Ned Stark stated as he entered the room. The king gave his orders. We are to move now. Move now? What had changed? Any change of plans? I asked Ned Stark. No, he just modified our waiting time. Ned Stark answered with a grim look. He said, it's all or nothing now, and that you have to leave. I won't leave him alone. I half shouted. Ronard Mormont POV. I see you've had your fun with my newest weapon, I stated plainly as I flew above him, with Neltharion holding one of the last 2 bombs on his claws, ready to drop it, while Regal held the last one high above us, flying above the enemy lines. Wanted to take in the sights. Enjoy the walk, before destroying all life. The undead lich replied with a growl, and then gestured to me. But you seem to have forgotten about how hopeless you were last time we fought. Did you forget the result? The undead smirked. It's hard to forget. I shrugged. First time I have ever lost. So, that memory will haunt me for a long time. As I talked with him, my attention shifted to his army and how much the explosions had hurt his manpower. Then, you should know you can't defeat me, the Night King proudly stated. My attention shifted from his army back to him as I chuckled bitterly. Things have changed. The undead king looked at me, with clear amusement on his face. Oh? How so? I smiled as I pointed Dawn at him. The opportunity for you to be able to defeat me is come and gone. You're no longer capable. I told him. Is that so? The undead king asked, almost hissing in anger. You had your chance to kill me, and you did. But you should have gone for the head. I smiled, devoid of all emotion. You think a month is enough to bypass the wall between you and me? The undead king scoffed. Arrogant little brat. I eyed him for a second before I started to chuckle. I did not think of you as a winner. Quite the letdown. I sighed. I surpassed you because you killed me. I no longer have any stops, any shackles. You will fail, like it has been written. Don't blame me for it. Blame the gods for setting us up. The Night King chuckled at that. Have you seen my army? It is the greatest army known to men. I can't be stopped. Well, if you say so. I sighed, deciding it was best to show him later. I was not going to commit the same mistake I did last time. No, I just came here to deliver a package, and as to why I had come personally. Well, to select the most problematic targets. You think I'm going to let you go? The Night King growled, moving towards me. No. But, I smiled, as I whistled the signal to let Regal know it was time to drop the tactical medieval nuke on them. I bet that buys me more than enough time to get out. I winked at the undead king. The Night King looked at me, as his general covered him from the explosion, anger in his eyes, to think I once thought he was an emotionless monster, when in reality, he was just a normal monster. I will kill you, the undead growled, as the fire engulfed thousands of his minions at me, but unlike the White Walkers for us, this was like a day on the beach, barely an inconvenience. The perks of being fireproof. As Neltharion flew out of the fire, I pointed to our target, the fairy tale creature section, where giants, winter spiders, and other unknown creatures were. It was the best point to target, almost too good. I wonder why he would do such a thing. This just made my selection process easier. There, I commanded. On it. Neltharion nodded, dropping the bomb on the location I had asked, and soon enough, another explosion engulfed the area in a green fire. Let's go. We have an army to lead. I ordered, for I had completed my mission here when I had enraged the Night King in two. I had taken the majority of his giants during this. Why did I want to enrage him? Well, rage is a human emotion that brings the greatest minds in the world to a retarded level. Fighting an angry enemy is easier than to fight a calm and collected one. 1 hour later, Daenerys was not happy with my suicidal idea, nor were any of my generals. Even Oberyn was questioning my sanity. But who the hell cares right now? How could you do dash? I stopped her with a long, passionate kiss. You will have time to kill me later. For now, I need you to go with Melisandre. She will protect you, I smiled. I won't leave you alone. Daenerys said, stepping her foot down. I'm not alone, besides. You and Melisandre have a role to play. No, they didn't. I had convinced Melisandre to lie to Daenerys if things went south for me. That way, Daenerys would comply, thinking she was helping me. We will use the royal blood to smite the enemies of our king, Melisandre stated, and that part was true. I had given her a lot of my blood, for in her own words, my blood had powers beyond comprehension. Though this power had downsides, for examples, every time she used my blood for something, I would lose some of my lifespan. But considering my lifespan was greater than any human around, it was a good exchange. Even if it meant only living a month after the war, I would be happy to leave my family safe. Besides, with my blood, she would be able to create shadow soldiers, set my enemies on fire from a distance, and bless my army with power. A good trade if you ask me. Why do I have to be with her if she already has that? Daenerys inquired. You need to give her permission every time she uses it. That was a lie, made to keep her out of the danger. You are his soulmate. Only you can allow me to use his royal blood to do my magic. Melisandre lied. Thank God she was with me on this one. How long do we have? Ned asked me. A day. The Night King won't take this dance slowly anymore, I answered. Well, if I am to die then, Oberyn said, kissing a random guard. There. Better. I will go down like the horny snake I am. I don't care, Ned sighed, rolling his eyes at him. Ned is really growing. Neat. The final battle was near, life and death. Jon. I turned to my friend/nephew. Yes, my suicidal king. Jon smiled, getting a glare from Dany. Very funny. I chuckled as I tossed Longclaw to him. I already have 2 blades. Use that one. I can't. This is the ancestral sword of House Mormont. Jon stammered, holding the sword like it was some kind of baby, fragile and unique. I already have Dawn and Lightbringer. Wield Longclaw for me. I chuckled. Give it back after the battle. That's an order, as you wish, my king. Jon nodded with a smile. By the way, why are you so cool with me having Dawn? Oberyn, I asked my snake-like friend. If that over-glorified blade gives you an edge to win, I don't care. Heck, if you need my brother's wheelchair to win, I will myself kick him out of it and give it to you. Oberyn laughed. You really think at this point anyone cares about who owns what blade? Damn that. I want to live to see another day. Well, that was a very Oberyn-like response. With our plan at hand, we marched towards the enemy horde. Neltharion, Crow, and Regal would focus on the undead dragon, while we took care of the horde coming our way. Animals and humans alike would fight together. It took us 8 hours to get where I wanted the fight to break free, giving us around 6 hours to rest and wait. Waiting was a torture on its own, but it was one that we couldn't escape, and before we knew it, all the time we had left vanished in the cold winter winds of the north, meaning he was here. Took you long enough. I smiled as I saw the knight approaching, his horde of soldiers right behind, ready to attack at his unholy command. It's time to end this, once and for all, the Night King stated, hefting his spear up. I suppose we shall see. I rolled my eyes at him as I hoisted up Dawn and Lightbringer. You that look down upon humanity should see that you show very human-like traits. Pathetic. In the end, my last challenge is a child throwing a tantrum. Taking a deep breath, I allowed the blue flames of my soul covered both of my blades. Your numbers mean nothing to me. You'll learn the hard way. Perhaps you are right. I was human at one point, but I will not lose against you, child. For I am beyond anything you have ever faced, the Night King stated, as his body started to transform into an even more disfigured appearance, losing any resemblance to a human being. His eyes ignited in power. Beside him, Oak ignited as magic. Fire. The Night King called out to his dragon as he finished his transformation. My eyes drifted off of him to see the massive dragon open its mouth as it looked towards my army. Black flames erupted from its maw, threatening to kill my army. But Crow, Regal, and Neltharion stopped the wild torrent of fire with their own, 3 against 1, resulting in a stalemate. My army took this as the call for battle and rallied themselves towards the enemy, clashing with the Horde, Dothrakis, Unsullied, and Westeros, all fighting together against the undead Horde. Impressive. It seems my dragon will have some fun. The Night King stated with a wicked smile, not really caring for the battle. Deal with the dragons. He ordered his dragon, before turning his attention back to me. Now, let's see who has the superior army. You or me? Our champion has. That voice. Melisandre, the hell is she doing here? Daenerys saw through your scheme and decided to stay behind for now. And ordered me to come and help, Melisandre stated, as she slowly walked towards me. I hid between your soldiers, waiting for the battle to break free. Don't worry, your wife is safe. I made more than enough shadows to ensure I was able to stand by you during all this. I eyed her, and my generals, Jon, Ned, Oberyn, and with a sigh I said, grab your dance partners. I ordered them. Generals versus generals. King versus king, truly poetic. The Night King laughed as his general and him started to walk towards us. Melisandre was facing Oak, the children of the forest, while Jon was facing the young Griff. Ned and Oberyn were both facing an undead taller than Gregor Clegane himself. My sons were facing the undead dragon, and as for me, well, I was facing the unholy king. In the blink of an eye, the Night King rushed towards me, clashing his ice spear with my swords. As I blocked his attack, the Night King tried to push me back, but I didn't budge. The undead king looked at the battle pairings and smirked. Looks like your generals will need help soon. He stated, my dragon will take care of your so-called sons. And then how are you going to stop it from laying waste to your army? The undead inquired with a smug smile. You overestimated yourself. You are still the same idiot I killed last time, am I? I questioned back, blocking his attacks with relative ease. As I continued to keep the undead king occupied, my attention drifted to my army. Seeing them facing the Horde like warriors, I knew most of them were scared, but it didn't stop them from fighting. My sons were also fighting valiantly against the massive, clashing against it. Not to interrupt, but we will kick your ass. Oberyn shouted playfully as he and Ned struggled against the undead general. What he said? I chuckled. Truly pathetic, the Night King growled, attacking me once more, only to fail as I jumped backwards. Well, prepare to lose against this pathetic army. I said, readying my blades once again. The Night King ignored my comment altogether, rushing to attack me, showing more speed and strength he had during our last encounter. The more power he poured into his attacks, the more monstrous his appearance would change. He already did not look like a human, and now he looked more like a mutated demon, about to burst like a water balloon. And yet even with his grotesque appearance, he was fighting like a cat, agile and lethal with each strike. You can't beat me, the Night King said, slamming his deformed fist into my stomach, sending me a few hundred yards again from him. You're strong, I have to admit that, but I paused as I activated the glyph of the left hand of God. Before appearing before him, I saw his eyes widened in horror as I pierced through his chest with dawn, followed by a roundhouse kick to his head, slamming him into the ground, creating a small crater underneath it. I'm stronger. Gotta love the super soldier serum plus the runes of the left hand of God, a lethal and explosive combination. For a moment, I thought everything was over. I had, after all, pierced his chest with a flaming sword. And yet, all he had was a wound that was slowly healing into nothingness. I can't die by Valyrian steel, or in this case, star essence. The Night King laughed. I'm impressed you show so much power now. It's like I'm fighting a different person altogether, but even if you are stronger than me, I will win, for all I have to do is wait for you to tire yourself out. And when you do, I'll kill you. Freaking awesome. The asshole is not allergic to Valyrian steel like his minions. Well, at least I can now fight him without having to worry about him and his army sharing eyesight. Thanks to my army, of course, but that blessing was momentary. I had to win this before his numbers, well, overwhelmed my men. Well, I'll figure something out. I winked at him, activating my runes once again. Maybe I had to cut him more than once. Maybe I had to treat him like a human. Good luck with that, for now. The undead smiled, stopping mid-sentence, snapping his fingers, which was immediately followed by a horde coming my way. Let's tire you out. You bitch. I glared at him, if he thought a bunch of idiots was enough to stop me. Well, he had another thing coming his way. Taking a deep breath, I lighted his poor attempt to tire me out in a sea of fire, killing all the soldiers coming my way. You will need to try harder than that, I said as we clash our weapons once again. Ignorant fool. You're going to die by my hands, the Night King said in a promising tone, kicking the bastard a few meters away. I responded, prepare to be disappointed. Our battle continued. The more the monster I was fighting mutated, the more difficult it was to fight him. I looked down at my hand. His cold was slowly getting to me, burning my skin with my hands, for example. They were severely burned thanks to the cold he was emanating. True to his word, he was tiring me out. I didn't know how long I was going to be able to keep the upper hand. The more the fight went on, the more difficult it became to cut him. And in the end, it didn't even matter, for any wounds I managed to deliver would soon heal. My clothes were burned off as I had several wounds around my body with frostbite. He was overwhelming my fire. I needed to find a way to end this. Something in my journey had to help me. But what? What can I do to save them all? I began to ask myself as I heard my people scream in pain and agony. A plan came to mind, and I felt my body shake as I made my decision. Perhaps it was time to think like a villain. Well, Vegeta is more of an anti-hero, but I will steal his thunder. I know what to do. Taking a deep breath, recreating my training sessions with Neltharion, I started building up as much fire as I could within myself, as I waited for the perfect moment, and it came. The Night King tried to attack me unaware of the plan. Dodging his attack, I nailed him to the ground with my blades, slamming my knees into his arms. I think I finally got it. I finally understand this game. None of us was truly meant to win this, I said as I kept the bastard under me. Are you crazy? The Night King roared, trying to escape my grasp. You have no idea if this is going to work. Stop this madness. I told you, hate the gods for this game, not me, I said with a pained laugh. If I am to die, my only regret is not seeing my children grow. A few sobs escaped my lips as I saw my body glowing. But I'd rather die, forging them a future, than to have them live in fear. No. The Night King trashed under me. Closing my eyes, I took a deep breath and focused what little energy I had into screaming out my last battle cry as I let all the fire I had within myself set the world on fire around me, including me. I slowly opened my eyes to see. I was alive, but what really mattered was the monster I had set to kill dead? With hesitation, I looked down to see the Night King slowly reforming. Grabbing both Dawn and Lightbringer, I tried to cut the reforming body of the beast. Unfortunately, I had no chance to do so. In the split second that it took me to take the blades from the burned ground, the undead king reformed his right arm and caught me by the throat. You almost got me there, the Night King muttered as his head reformed. I had to kill thousands of my minions to avoid certain death for 2 brief and agonizing seconds. I hung imprisoned by the powerful grip of the undead monster as he continued to reform before cutting the hand that had me prisoner. I share a life with every single one of my soldiers. You can't kill me. Not until they are all dead, though I am surprised that attack you just pulled out cost me around 200,000 minions in exchange for my life. The Night King stated, fully reformed by this point. So in a way, you even out the playing field for your people, I suppose. Well, now I'm glad I didn't die with my self-destruction fire. Otherwise, he would have won the war already. The monstrosity in front of me yelled, raising his fists above his head, mutating more and more. I don't like having to sacrifice my peons for power, but you prove to be a nuisance. Not only can he exchange them to avoid certain death, but he can also sacrifice them to get more power. I hate my life. Well, let's keep dancing, shall we? I tried to sound cool and collected, but that last suicidal attack had taken a toll on me. I was tired, really tired, but all of a sudden, I wasn't. What the hell? Melisandre. I could feel her with me right now. I could also feel my blood boil. She had probably used blood magic. I felt better. My wounds and burned skin was slowly getting better. That which sure is a nuisance, well, it matters not. Oak will kill her sooner or later, the abomination stated, noticing how I looked more energetic and how my wounds were slowly starting to disappear, faster than my body could heal them. I merely smiled at him. I was now glad I had given her my blood to do magic. It had come quite a hand. Now, let's dance once again. Very well. The Night King smiled, and immediately after, thousands of ice spears like icebergs started to protrude around him in every direction. I melted all of them with my fire, but for some reason, I noticed. The attacks seemed completely random, with the majority of them going towards other directions instead of me. The undead king rushed towards me like a behemoth, trying to strike with all his strength using his spear. While he was faster and considerably stronger, I easily dodged by jumping over the giant who shattered the ground like glass. And I couldn't help but notice he was lacking something. But what? The Night King turned as quickly as he could to give a violent backtrack elbow attack followed by a spear swing. But once again, I had been able to see through his attack, and since I was faster, I slipped under his arm and cut his leg, making him drop to a knee. The Night King had somehow forsaken technique for power. There was no other explanation. With the raw force and speed he currently had, he should be more than able to push me or kill me. But his attacks were now like those of an almost mindless animal. With a violent roar, the already enraged undead reformed his leg and stood up, trying to attack me once again with his massive spear. This time, I ducked under the attack and cut his head in a singular motion, followed by a quick cut to his arms. However, before his limbs and head fell to the ground, he reformed once again, attaching what I had just cut. Unfortunately for him, he did this just to receive a storm of cuts that stopped him before he could even attack. There was no doubt now. The Night King basically traded intellectual prowess for physical prowess, giving him more power and me the lead on the battle. This was unfortunate for him, but I wasn't going to let this opportunity go to waste. I would keep on my assault until he stopped reforming. If you can't solve a problem with violence, it means you ain't using enough violence to begin with. For today, that was my motto. I need more power. The Night King shouted, dropping his weapon to the ground, as he punched the ground with both arms like a gorilla, mutating once again, showing that even his cognitive abilities were starting to disappear. Suddenly, with a roar and blinding speed, the undead Colossus managed to grab me by the wrists and delivered a terrible blow with his watermelon-sized knee to my guts, sending me a few hundred meters away with a trail of blood on my blood. I had been thrown so hard that most of my army stopped for a second to give me a look, to see if I was still alive. Nothing like a concussion to get the blood flowing. I chuckled as I stood up, giving my men the thumbs up while I puked some blood. I will kill you. The Colossus rushed at me like a football player, this time a little bit more accustomed to his speed. I dodged the brute by jumping to the side, cutting the giant with Dawn and Lightbringer. The undead roared, throwing a deadly punch that promised me a painful death. Once again, I dodged, taking a step to the side, grabbing his arm, and with all my strength using it as a lever to nail the giant to the ground. M-O-R-E, the giant shouted, struggling to even speak the most simplistic words, and once again he mutated, taking the form of a werewolf-like creature, though I had no hair, just rotting flesh and ice around his body, around 12 feet tall. He is losing thousands every time he does that. If he keeps doing that, we will outnumber him. Nick Fury cawed, flying above me. Do you think you can keep him mutating? Could I? While it was easier to read him, it was also becoming more and more troublesome. A single punch from before broke bones and damaged some organs. I will try. I sighed. It's not like I had another choice. I think he can't die while he has lived to exchange for his. So this way, we will lower the number to 1. Nick offered. I kill you. The undead colossus shouted as he rushed at me on a straight line. Blinking in realization, I kicked a spear I found on the ground, piercing his skull and stopping his once again. More. I need more. He roared once again, mutating once again, his body now sporting tendrils, in more than 1 month. I'm not gonna. I am scared. I muttered, talking to myself. This shit had gone from 1 to 1,000,000 really quick. The undead monster lunged forward, quickly sprinting towards me, jumping midway in an attempt to smash me like a bug. But reflex kicked in. I moved the heck away from the impact before dashing forward, piercing his chest. Instinctively, I jumped backwards, waiting for the bastard to mutate once again, and like a clock. Me. Need more. With a somehow even more animalistic form, the undead sprinted at me again. I jumped out of the way at the last second, using the momentum to cut his head off. He was stronger, faster, and scarier than me. That much was true. But now it was a battle of mights or strategies. It was a battle of timing. One mistake on my part, 1 second of hesitation would end me. I knew that, so I had to time all my movements perfectly. Once again, I jumped backwards, waiting for the beast to mutate. And he did, but instead of asking for more power, he just roared, showing he didn't have any brains anymore, mutating his body once again with a simplistic yet terrifying roar. The undead king was now on all fours, looking at me, once again resembling a wolf, like the one I had seen in my visions a long time ago. Holy sh! I was cut short for the moment I blinked. The monster had blasted towards me, trying to attack me, barely dodging. I couldn't help but feel the cold embrace of fear as I saw the damage a single attack did. The monster didn't let me recover and attacked once again, this time biting my arm off like it was freaking cheese, not resistance. Nothing. He just ripped my left arm that was holding Dawn, like nothing, from the elbow down. He just bit my arm like a cake. Shit. I snarled, jumping back to recover. The undead spit my arm to the side and roared in victory. Well, damn you, buddy, I am right-handed anyway. I was not going to lose like this. Taking a deep breath, I burned the wound, sealing it, and grabbing Lightbringer, I smiled, taunting the beast as I dashed forward, dodging his maw and razor-sharp teeth as I thrusted my sword with just enough power to go through his head. Do you need any help? I heard Fury inquired. I lost an arm, Sherlock. What do you think? I rolled my eyes as I took my distance, waiting for the damn Pokemon to evolve once again. Our forces are now outnumbering the undead. 1 or 2 more mutations, and we will win, Fury stated. Hooray, I chuckled. Once again, the wolf-looking monster mutated, from a normal wolf to a monstrosity with 6 mouths, 2 heads, and 3 legs. God, that is disgusting. I muttered. With a powerful roar, the Lovecraft abomination darted at me, faster than before because why not? With the utmost care, I proceeded to methodically dodge all the attacks he was throwing at me, not because I was able to see them. Not at all. His attacks were a blur of motion now, almost impossible to see them for me. But, thanks to his animalistic minds, his attacks were so one-directional that it was as easy to predict them, though unfortunately for me, not all of my predictions were accurate, for I failed to dodge newly acquired tail, which resulted on me being smacked with it, followed by me flying across the battlefield like a rag doll, landing close to Oberyn and Ned. Protect the king, Ned shouted, running towards me. Don't be an idiot, I stopped him, struggling to stand up. You lot won't buy me even a second. With a loud crash, the beast landed a few dozen meters away from me, growling like a feral beast. Holy shit, Oberyn muttered, taking a few steps back as the beast stared to walk towards us. However, a sword stopped the monster from moving, piercing his head. The sword was no other than Longclaw, meaning John had thrown the blade at it. We have to buy Melisandre time to heal him. John shouted, with Dawn on his hands. Now where the heck he got that? You know what, it doesn't matter. Maybe the monster pooped the blade somewhere, and he went to it. I need a few minutes to do so, Melisandre confirmed. Well, damn it, this is a good way to die. Oberyn smirked. Aye, Ned smirked back. For the king, my army shouted as Melisandre dragged me out of the danger zone. Damn lunatics. I stared at Melisandre with a questioning look. How many undead remain? I asked, struggling to speak. God, that tale really messed me up. Only him. Melisandre answered, as she covered my body in the blood I gave her. Your sons managed to defeat the giant dragon, with the help of the Krakens, which means he couldn't exchange the dragon for power. When? I asked, feeling proud they managed to do so. At the same moment, you landed close to me. Melisandre replied, they are probably fighting the beast right now. How long before I can go back? I asked. I don't know. We'll see, Melisandre answered, clearly unsure about if she could heal me. I already heal you. This time the damage is worse. Taking a deep breath, Melisandre started to chant in a foreign language. A little by little, I started to feel better. My wounds healing, my energy recovering. I'm feeling bet. I stopped midway, seeing how while I was getting better, Melisandre was slowly getting worse, aging, by the second. I waited hundreds of years to serve you, and that I will. Melisandre said, giving me a kiss, as her once beautiful crimson red hair went white. Blood magic takes a lot, from the user and from the receiver, but unlike you, I don't have much to give, not anymore. I stood up, blinking in shock as Melisandre smiled with a sad overtone. She was now an old woman, a very old woman. Win this war, end this cycle once and for all. And like a pile of dust that the wind blows, Melisandre was dead, and there was nothing to say she even existed. To begin with, she aged to the point of turning to dust. She gave all her life and magic to heal me once again, and I was going to use this newfound energy to end this. I rushed back to the battlefield, seeing the beast laying waste to my army, with my son struggling to keep the loss at a minimum. Regal was badly hurt, with one of his wings sporting a gaping hole. Neltharion was missing his front right leg and eye, and Crow had lost the tip of his tail, being the least damaged of the bunch. I'm back, I shouted at them. You were fighting this thing? Neltharion hissed in disbelief. Yes. I shuddered as I remembered my fight. We can barely contain him, Crow added. How do you guys feel? I asked as I focused on the monster, standing up. I don't know, it feels like there is a hole in me. Regal chuckled, showing his injured wing. Even now. Crow hissed. Don't worry, brother. Now that we have father here, this will be a hole in one. Regal laughed. I will kill you if that unholy abomination doesn't. Crow muttered. Do you mean the unholy abomination? Regal offered with a slight grin. Funny, but let's focus on the monster, okay? I chuckled. He also took a bite out of you, huh? Neltharion sighed, showing his left front paw. Hate the bastard. Yeah, I said, running towards the beats with my sons behind me. We have to burn him to nothing. So be ready to breathe the biggest fire in history. Got it. They replied in one voice at the same time. Taking a deep breath, I did what I had instructed my sons, and once again I focused on gathering all the fire I could. As the beast ran towards us, killing my men like they were flies on his way. Go to hell. Me and my sons shouted at the same time as a hellish blast of massive proportions set the demon in flames, burning him and everyone around him. I was promised this world. The Night King said within, regaining some of his cognitive skills. Well, me too, bastard, I replied, as I lighted Lightbringer before throwing it at him like a makeshift lance, shattering his undead body once and for all. I woke up feeling like crap, my body aching in parts they shouldn't be any aching, worn out, tired. Besides me, my wife laid sleeping. The dark circles in her eyes showed she had been worrying sick about me. I slowly stood up from stretching the one arm I had left, as I inwardly chuckled. This was going to make some stuff a living hell. As I stretched up, I noticed I felt different. For a moment, I could really understand exactly what was different, but then I realized my fire was gone. The blessing the god of fire had given me was no longer with me, meaning everything was already over. Well, it was a bumpy ride. It has its ups and downs, and now, well, here I am, alive but crippled in a way. But in reality, I would have given my entire body if it meant saving my children. So losing an arm was a pretty good deal if you ask me. Black Friday shit. Ronard, Daenerys muttered as she woke up, hugging me immediately after. There were no words between us, just a comfortable moment of silence, one that helped us more than any words could right now. With a smile and my wife on my side, I dozed off back to the world of dreams, holding my little piece of sunshine right. Today I was no king, just a man, wanting some peace. 6 months later. And so time passed. The first few months after the war were hard, especially since some important lords had died. The Tullys among them were wiped out. From father to son, none remained, except for Catelyn, who was now considerably more friendly. In the end, everyone had lost something. Some lost minor things like me, and others lost irreplaceable things like Oberyn, who lost 2 of his daughters. Obara and Tyene, who by what my ravens and Oberyn told me, fought to the very end like true warriors. Needless to say, Oberyn was destroyed with this. I couldn't even imagine my children dying. The idea was beyond anything I had experienced so far. Ned lost more than 80% of his army, and the battle had left his heir Robb with a bad leg, nothing that would threaten his life or impede him from having heirs of his own. But he would never fight again. Limping on the battlefield would be his end. Jon was in perfect health, a few cuts here and there, but besides that, new like a Porsche the son of a, it seemed even here the plot armor protects him. The point was, everyone had lost a lot during this war, me included. My once almost unstoppable army was now nothing but the shadow of what it once was, with a few hundred unsullied alive, and the Dothraki mostly gone. 1 year later, it has been officially 1 year since the war ended, and I have yet to fully recover, but every day I feel better with my strength slowly coming back. As for news, the Tyrells tried to rebel as soon as the matriarch of the family died, aka the only smart person in there. So yeah, I wiped them off. I gave them many chances, damn them. But this made the 7 kingdoms feel more like the 5 kingdoms, or 4. I need to do my math. As for the kingdom, it was a work in progress. It was in need of fixing, with so many things to fix after the war. My bills were high. Good thing I owned the bank. Otherwise, well, I'd rather not think about it. But things were looking well, for when I had trustworthy people in my council. Oberyn is the master of laws, Ned Stark is the hand of the king, Tyrion, who I had personally hunted down, as the master of coin, Daisy Mormont as the master of ships. Some tried to complain because she was a woman and such. Well, damn them. Lancelot as the Lord Commander of the King's Guard, and secretly, but officially, Nick Fury as my Master of Whispers. I had my reasons why I had chosen every single one of them to those positions. Not only I trusted them, but they were good in the areas I had given them. I can wait to see how things turn out. 10 years later, everything was perfect. The life I never knew as a young impulsive brat that I wanted was on my present. My son training with me, and my daughter obliterating my royal ass in chess every time. Though that last part is not new. She has been doing that since she was 9. And while Geralt shows more prowess in battle, she wasn't so far behind. Her style was more fluid, and with lethal intentions. How's the training going? Daenerys inquired, coming into the training yard. Dad keeps being the one-armed menace he is, Geralt pouted. Stop crying and get better. My sarcastic, sour, and adorable teenage daughter commented with a slight smirk. Oh, shut it. Geralt rolled his eyes at her. It's not like you can beat him in combat. Not yet, but in chess and other games. I do, unlike you. I have wins against father, sibling rivalry. It's so beautiful to see it as a father, and fun. I love seeing them argue. It's sometimes relaxing. Especially because my little princess outwits my poor son. He was by no means stupid. But she is by no means normal, a genius among genius. They each excelled in something. My son was a social butterfly, while my little princess hated social interactions, saying it was a waste of time, that the only people she cared about were us, and that others only wanted something from us. A very harsh truth she learned by herself, making her own conclusions when she was 7. My son, on the other hand, wanted to see the good in others, though not in a blind and moronic way. He knew some people were bad and wanted to use us, but he believed everyone deserves a chance. But even with his carefree, friendly demeanor, he was no fool, seeing through plots better than most adults. Needless to say, I was proud of them beyond words. As for my other sons, well, after I gave Highgarden to John because, well, those lands were highly profitable and John was trustworthy, my sons claimed the Targaryen homeland for them, as a place to have eggs if they ever found mates. This in turn made all of my animals migrate there, turning the place into an animal kingdom, House Wildfire, or House Chimera as some call it. A good use for that place. What are you smiling about? Daenerys asked, kissing my hand. I feel like a lady being courted, I chuckled. A muscular and hairy one, Gerald added with a smirk. It would be educational to see father with a dress, my little princess added with a mischievous smile. Well, I'm happy just because, I chuckled, ignoring my children like a good father. Just because, I finished hugging them. 10 years later, I had finally discovered what I had lost during my resurrection. I had lost a massive part of my lifespan. Instead of aging slowly like I would have done, I was aging faster than a normal person. What happened, Dad? Having troubles keeping up? My son smirked as we continued to spar. Kiddo, you are still too green to best me, I chuckled, as I disarmed him with a single move all while putting the training sword on his throat. I will eventually best you, Pops, my son smiled. I have doubts about that, my daughter said, rolling her eyes, as while grabbing a training sword. Let's have a one-on-one, brother. I assure you, this time I will win, as if, my son snorted, getting into position. In the meantime, I sat, watching them fight with a smile on my face. Here I was, a man in his middle age, with his 2 loving kids and loving wife living the day by day with no problems. Who would have thought I would be here 30 years ago? Who would have thought? We will take care of them. Once you are gone, Neltharion, who had come to visit today, hissed, we will protect them. Thanks, I smiled as I watched them fight, feeling somewhat tired. Ronard, Daenerys greeted, giving me a kiss while sitting down beside me. You know I love you, right? I asked with a faint smile. I do, Daenerys nodded. Good, I yawned, putting my head in her lap, as I slowly drifted into sleep, feeling my body getting heavier and heavier, all while thinking. I had a very eventful life, but I had no regrets. I would have done the same thing all over again just to get this result. I used at one point think my existence here was a curse. What a stupid boy I used to be.
And that concludes this episode. If you enjoyed it, I'd seriously love it if you guys could leave a like on the video, as it genuinely helps out so much, and it keeps me going, plus it takes only 1 second. That said, have a wonderful day. See you in the next one.